I'm recording my lesson on YouTube. And it's under week 10. So students who are going through the YouTube videos do know it. So you'll find it under Comp1008 and you are the Tuesday section. Okay, so if you go and look under my name, search by my name, that's what it will be. Okay, so before even I start, once you have your project ready, so I created a project by the same name so that I don't have to go and change my package statements. Okay. So I created a project by the same name, and definitely by default, NetBeans gives it the same package statement, and then I've just copied all files. You don't have to create and then copy and paste the code. You can just copy the files into the package. Okay, let's see what this is about and then go through what is required and so on. Okay, the first thing, what I'm trying to create today now is a ticketing system, right? So I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but I'll give you an example. For example, at the college, the college has given us these laptops to work with, right? So if we have any issues with the laptop, whatever it is, we kind of send a ticket or call them and they'll create a ticket for us. So a ticket is basically a way of reporting an issue, right? Reporting an issue to the IT department. So what is a ticket? Like if you, as I said, if you've kind of used it somewhere before, that's how mostly at places of work. But a ticket basically is, oh, thank you.
You wanted this, so just so you know as well, I can't confirm that this is for your computer, and it could cause damage to your computer if it's like a different power pinout or something like that.
Do you think that they are usually like?
I've had it happen on weird things, but
if it goes in well here, should be okay. Yeah, looks good to me. Thank you.
Can you bring that down after your class?
E009. 00. I will. Thanks.
So I just unzip the files
and
yes. Create a new project?
Yes, and create a new project and copy those files. And if you create it by the same name as the zip file, you should be good. Okay. Okay, so that's what happens. So if we have an issue, we kind of send out a ticket to the IT department saying this is what my problem is, and a written kind of an issue is created, and any updates are done to that ticket. So the day the ticket was created, what's the issue, what's my email, because of course that's how they contact us, what's my name, and they also give a severity depending upon how urgent it is. Is it urgent? It has to be done in a minute, like in an hour, I need it back or something. So it also has a severity issue, a number with it, right? And then as things develop, they'll keep emailing me, and always to the same ticket, my solutions are added, or they'll come, sometimes they come to your office and say what's wrong, and they test it. So they'll keep adding all kind of, anything that has to do with the ticket, they'll keep adding to the ticket issue, like to the description. They're trying to figure out what's going on. And once it is done, the ticket is closed. So they'll close it so that it's out of their system, or maybe goes into a database, whatever it is, and it's done and finished. Anytime I have to talk to them, I kind of send my reference number of the ticket number, and I say, you know what, this is my ticket number, I'm still waiting, or this is what was done, and this is what is happening right now. So that's what a ticket is, right? So you basically create a ticket, and that ticket is the way in which the person who has the issue is connecting with the person who has the solution, right? So this project talks about a ticket troubling system, right? So basically there is a trouble, there is an issue, and I'm creating tickets. So before even I start saying, okay, how do I create this? If I need to create an application like this, what classes or what objects will I need? That's my first thing. What objects will I need? Once you know what objects you need, with what objects are you working, then you will create those classes for that particular objects and define those objects. And then, of course, you will create an application. So that's the whole issue around it, right? So you will notice I've given you some exception classes. And today, instead of using one exception class, you see 3 there. Nothing different from what we've done, but a little small change where you don't have to pass the message. So before looking at the code, as I said, let's decide what are the objects that you deal with in a trouble ticketing system. Think about it. What are the objects you deal with? What do you need in a ticket? Definitely a ticket, right? So a ticket with some characteristics, like maybe, as I said, a ticket number, a unique ticket number, the person who created the ticket, maybe my email, because that's what I said is the way of communicating. What is the issue? The date it was created, definitely, because that's important, right? What is the issue? And then what are the resolution or resolutions as it is going on, right? And then when it is done and finished, closed on. That's a ticket, definitely. So I need a ticket class because I have to create ticket objects, right? Ticket objects. So what else do I need? So I have a ticket for sure. I need a class, and that's the class you will see is under the trouble ticket.java. What about something else? What else do you need? Now, what do I need to do? Create a system of tickets, right? I need a collection because there is somebody looking after it. So there has to be a system, like your stock manager in your last example. There has to be a system which is dealing with this tickets, right? And there should be, you should be able to add a new ticket. You should be able to send back and forth resolutions, right? This is how I'm resolving it. You should be able to close it. You should be able to see if the ticket is open or closed. So things like that. And then anytime a new ticket comes in, give it a unique ticket number, right? So that's how it has to work. So I need a ticketing system. So that ticketing system is created under the class called trouble ticketing system, right? So these are definitely, so I definitely need a ticket object. And these tickets, it's not a single object that I'll be working with. I'm talking about a system. So a system will have a collection of such tickets, and each ticket will then be dealt with. And again, we'll talk of the normal procedures like we do. We should be able to add tickets. We should be able to delete tickets. We should be able to modify. Modify means add resolutions or descriptions to it or whatever, right? And so on and so forth. Okay. So starting from there, let's now look at what are the characteristics of a ticket. And that's what we'll go in the class. Keep in mind, guys, a class definition is just defining. You're just saying, okay, these are the characteristics of my ticket, and this is what I can do with my ticket, right? So methods and attributes go together into a class definition. So as I said, since we are now almost more than halfway through the semester, and I'm hoping that you have some idea, instead of starting from scratch, and of course to save time also, because I just have 4 more weeks to go, I've given you a kind of a skeleton, more than a skeleton. So if you open the trouble ticket.java, you will find that I've kind of put a few things in it. To introduce you to 2 new classes from Java 1.8. They're called local date time, because remember the date it was created on, it's always recorded. So what date and what time was it created on? So I'll use a class called local date time. That's a class I will use. And I'll also use regular expressions too, right? Regular expressions are a way, we'll talk about it. Now there could be a whole course on regular expressions. And a regular expression is a format which you're trying to match. For example, names of persons. What can go into names of persons? Think about it. What does your name constitute of? You can have letters. You can't have digits, right? You can have a blank between your first name and last name. And some names also have an apostrophe, O'Brien or something like that, okay? So that's what you are saying. So if you would like to create a valid name, then you will say my regular expression is something of this kind. I'll say it like normally, but of course regular expressions need, you have to kind of give it an expression, okay? It's a string, it's like a string. So you're saying I'll allow small letters A to Z. I'll allow capital letters A to Z. I will allow the special character blank, and I'll allow the special character hyphen dash. Some names have hyphen. I'm not very sure. I've definitely seen the quote, the single quote, but I don't know about hyphens. I think so. Anne Marie, I think, has an hyphen. So these are what I'll allow. So once I make that expression, then anytime the name is validated, it is matched against this expression, and if it works, it says, oh, it's valid, then it is used, right? So I'm going to use regular expressions today for email, right? So an email usually will have the @ symbol, right? It could have the dot, Anju.Chawla, for example. It could have anything else. It could have digits, it could have numbers. It doesn't have any special characters, okay? So again, I'll form a regular expression. And again, as I said, forming of regular expressions is a whole subject on its own. So what I've done, of course, is I Googled for it. I looked for a valid email regular expression, and I'm going to use it. But at least I'm trying to tell you that things like this exist, right? So anytime in future, till now, we've never validated our names or any, like these simple things, we don't validate them, or addresses or phone numbers even. We haven't validated, we just assume it is right. We validated values like quantity should be greater than 0, price should be greater than 0. But we've never validated our text, which you should, right? Because it's garbage in, garbage out. If your data is not valid, you can't expect valid results to come out of your application. So you could always validate your phone number. Phone numbers, depending upon which country you're writing your code for, where is the application being run, you can say it has 3 digits of area code and then 3 more digits and 4 more digits, like in Canada. Or if it's any other place, you kind of look for what can be allowed. You can allow round brackets, you can allow numbers, you can allow dashes, and so on. So validation of data of input is very important because we have a simple rule, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. So if you do not validate your input, you can't expect your output to be correct. Okay, so I'll use regular expressions for email today. And as I said, you could be using it for any kind of text data if you want to validate. So just so that you have an idea, right? I'm not saying here that I'm going to make you experts in regular expression. Can do that. It's a huge thing. But once you know it, you can always research on it as and when required. Okay. Okay. So we've already kind of said. So again, I've given my Java doc comments. Most of you are there now. Most of you can write Java comments. Grammatically, a little weak, some of you. On the other hand, some of you are trying to say something, but it never comes out in the way that you're trying to say. But again, I'm glad at least you're trying to put Java doc comments, because remember, code without Java doc comments is useless. I mean, if you're only writing it for yourself and you're the only one who's going to look at it and work with it, sure, doesn't matter. But it's not only that. When you create classes, classes can go into class libraries. Java is full of class definitions. If there were no Java doc comments, how would you use that class? It would be so difficult. So anytime you have to, you open up the class definition, you look at the methods, you look at their signatures, you see what the method is trying to tell you, and then you work with it. So that's the purpose of Java doc comments. They always start with a slash and a double star and end with a star and a slash. And it has its own rules. For example, the one at the top of the class will have a short description of the class, will have your name usually, right? Which is done by the help of @author, nothing else. It has to be called @author. And then you have versions and sins. So notice how I have put version, the date, I didn't know the two sections, right? So I've said version July 2017, but you also have seen me using the @since, in which I usually put my date. Whatever you like, both are acceptable. Or, and then in version, you could go version number. So you can't change this annotations. They have to be exactly written as I have written them. Spelling wise, everything has to be same. That's usually that comes at the top of the class. That's more than enough. Every class will have a little description. We'll have a since where it says since when was it available. 1.0 version, 2.0, then we had 5, we had 6, we had 7, and then we have 8. So whenever you look at a class definition, for example, I will look at local date time today. So if I open it up, bless you. Yep.
I created a project and copied the file so it wins it correctly, but the red exclamation mark symbol is showing on several of the pages.
Yeah, so something you haven't done right, because I did the same thing and I don't have an exclamation mark. So maybe package statement. I don't know. Let's see.
So basically it's this one, this one, this one, this one, which is causing these two to happen.
Yeah, but what is it saying? Get your mouse to say the trouble ticket that we just opened.
Error parsing.
Can you close everything? Just put a right click here and say close all. Yeah. Close everything.
And close all these?
Yeah, just close them. Yeah. There are too many. I see student and I see go fish and I can know what's happening. Just do a right click on any one of those and say close all. Okay. Now let's double click on the trouble ticket. Let's see where the error is appearing. Click on that red.
Should be one error flag warning.
Yeah, so what is your package called? Trouble.
Ticketing system.
Exactly the same, right? Okay, let's click on this red one. Oh, we have to add code yet. Okay, but you should still not get those errors, like it's an empty one, but okay, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Let's complete it and then.
Had all those things up.
Yeah, no, we'll go one by one and then you can figure it out, okay? If it doesn't happen. So here is the class. Notice how it tells you the since. This is the since I was talking about. And this is the description. Now your description wasn't that big, but that's the description of the class. So every Java class has description. What's not working?
I just have multiple errors.
That's okay, because we haven't yet completed it, right? So don't worry about it for now. Don't worry about it. Oh, you know what? Maybe I have taken the complete one and that's why I don't have any exclamation marks. Right, that's what has happened. Okay, I should not be copying this one, then I'll lose you. So let me do something. So that I have the same errors like you guys have, right? Okay, let's do this. I'll take this and I'll take this one. Give me 1 minute, okay? I'll try to get the same as you. I should, because otherwise you'll say she has nothing and we have so many. Okay, so let's do this. Let me delete these files. The email exception should not have any error. The ticket close exception should not have any error, and the ticket update exception.java. These three are okay, right? These three are okay. There are no errors in those files. I'll tell you what they are. So let me get the same file that you have now. So what do you have? You know what? Maybe it's just easier to go this way. I must have given you the zip file from somewhere.
The zip file came from past examples, trouble ticketing.
Yeah, I know that. I'm trying to look where it is on my system. Oh, there it is. Okay, here we are. I have it. Of course, you are.
So we have to delete it.
No, you don't have to delete it. I'm trying to come where you are. Please don't delete it. I'm not asking you to delete it.
So I'm just trying to make sure that I follow the law.
I still don't have errors. Why? I should have the same errors like you have. I'm copying the same files that I've given to you. Or did I not remove it? No. That is strange, right? Why don't I have errors like you? And I should, because this is incomplete. Okay, don't worry about it. We'll get there. Okay, don't worry about it. Okay, so where were we? Oh, the since and the author. So you can choose whatever you like. It depends on you. But when I say I need Java doc comment, guys, you have to give me Java doc comment. You can't change you can't say author 1, author 2. You can't say authors. You can't say at date. You can't. These annotations are fixed, right? So since is basically saying, when did you create it? That's what we've been using. And the version number 1.0. So choose whatever you like, but please choose the correct thing.
Do we replace author and T'Challa with Arnie?
That depends upon you, Bradley. That really depends upon you, what you want to do with the author, right? Okay, so let's look at the trouble ticket class. So we've already discussed these instance variables. We'll now go through them one by one. So every ticket needs a ticket number. Logical, right? This ticket number will be final. You know what finals are, though maybe you haven't seen a final variable as per se. You've seen named constants. I've been using named constants. I'll be using here also. But this looks like a variable. I haven't given it a value. It looks like a variable because, and it's an instance variable. Why? Because every instance of the ticket will need it. It's not a static final constant. So final can be used with instance variables, which you haven't maybe done till now. What does it imply? It implies that this variable, once assigned a value, cannot be changed. That's what it means by final. It's not a class variable, guys. It's an object variable. Every object needs it. So it's an instance variable. It's final because once I assign it a value, it cannot be changed. So something like an ID should be final. Student ID should be final. Ticket numbers should be final. You can change them. Once they're assigned a value, you can change the ticket number, right? So I made it a final instance variable. And the requirement is that when you assign it, you can use an assignment statement, which I've done right here. Once only, never again in your code. That's what it means, right? So I'm still creating a ticket. That ticket has a particular number. I'm assigning the value that you pass to the constructor to that particular variable. Nothing else. I can't use a set method. You can do it. You can initialize a final variable in a set method. So I can't do that. I can't even have a private set method, right? So I can write a set method. So the only way I can do is do an assignment statement right in the constructor. Can't change it.
So a final instance variable is unchanged forever.
It cannot be changed now.
Yeah.
Never. That's the use. And why would you create an instance variable to be final? Because logically that's what it is. You can keep changing the ticket number of a particular ticket. You can keep changing the student number of a student every semester. You know what I mean? So if an instance variable needs to be unique, that's one thing. I'll show you how to make it unique. Plus 2, if once assigned a value, you should not be able to change it, you make it final. So here is an example of a final instance variable. You've seen something before, and that something before that you have seen is a named constant. and it's, oops, make that change please, 1 and 3. Here are named constants. So you have used final before. You've used them many a times, but you've only used them as constants. And here is an example of a constant, right? But it's different. Notice how it is different. 1, it's public. It's available outside class. 2, it is static, belongs to the class. That means every object doesn't have its own copy. 1 constant shared by all the objects, right? That's a static. So static means belongs to the class. And 3, it's final. It cannot be changed. Okay, so there is a difference between class constants and there is a difference between a final instance variable. They are two different things. The only common thing is the final, but that remains. There's final says the value of this particular variable or constant cannot be changed. Okay, so I've created 2 constants. I had a typo there. I noticed, copy and paste, right? So one is the minimum severity, which is 1, and one is the maximum. This is the severity of your ticket. So how important is it? 1 says, oh, it can be, I mean, it's not as if it has to be done today. 2 means medium and 3 means high, urgent, right? And that's how it is done. Ticket numbers are given, severities, so that they can be resolved. IT can say, oh, I can take my time, kind of stuff. And sometimes I do it, like I'm right in the middle of the semester. I can give my laptop to them. I'll say, okay, it's 3. When the semester ends, I'll give it to you. But I want to make it official that I have a problem and my laptop will be coming. So I'm in the queue. I joined the queue. Okay, so that's severity. So that's an example of a named class constant. And here is an example of an instance variable that is a constant, kind of constant, right? Why a kind of constant? I give it a value once, cannot change it. But every object will have its own value of ticket number. Once assigned, cannot be done. Rule number 2, instance variables, when they're final, you can write a set method for them. Not even a private set method. You cannot code it. It cannot have a set method, because why? What does a set method do? Set method says, oh, its value may change. It says when it's final, its value can never change. So you cannot put a set method. You cannot create a set method. Try it and you'll see it gives you an error. So the only way to give it a value once is the right place is your constructor. Remember what a constructor is? It creates an object and gives initial values to your instance variable. There is where you will assign the value. A second habit that I've seen in some of you, though, please avoid it. It's not wrong, but it's not the right way in Java. You don't put values here. You don't say is equal to. You don't do that in Java. You don't do it for instance variables. Why? Because remember, each of these variables belongs to an instance. So if you want to assign it a value, it has to be done in the constructor. So when the object is created, the values are assigned. So you never do it where you declare them. Not in Java at least, right? C++, yes, but not in Java. It's not the norm. And logically think about it. Every object that is created needs its own value. So what's the sense of assigning it a value in the declaration? Okay, makes sense? Okay, so don't do that. As I said, it's not wrong, but it's not the norm. Logically, it's not right. So even if you have to initialize your array lists or whatever, do everything in the constructor. Do everything in the constructor. Okay, so every ticket needs a ticket number. That's my first characteristic or instance variable. Every ticket will have a username. Who created the ticket or for whom was the ticket created? So the person who's complaining, username. The person will have an email. Why? Because that's the way you communicate. What is the description of my issue? What went wrong, right? Blue screen of death. Can't find my power cord. I forgot it somewhere, so I have to get it, right? Can't find, silly, but that's an issue, right? Then what's the resolution? So resolution will be empty or null to start with, because the resolution will not be coming as you create the ticket. The resolution will come afterwards, but it will be null or it will be empty to start with, however you want to work with it. Severity, a value for at least my code, a value from 1 to 3 cannot be negative. Severities cannot be negative. It could be 1 to 5, 1 to 10. It's like a ranking. I have stuck to 1 to 3, any other value, I'll throw an exception. Or the other option I'll do today, because we've thrown quite a bit of exceptions last week. Today, instead of throwing exceptions, I'll give them default values. So it depends how you're writing your applications. Nothing is wrong or right, but yes, something is efficient and non-efficient. So you think about efficiency of a program, not about saying, oh, it works. Okay, so keep in mind. So again, what I'm doing today is different from throwing exceptions, but you will see it is more efficient or more what I need. So that's how you decide. Okay, so that's the severity. And then 2 new types of variables today. They're called created on and closed on. So on the date your ticket was created and the date it was closed. And I'm using a new class today. The import statement is already available. It's a new class. You haven't used it till now. It came in Java 1.8. And what it has is, if you look at it, always remember, as soon as you, as I say, use a class, your first job is to go to the source and look it up, right? And look it up. Here, something else that maybe you're seeing too many finals today. A class is final. We'll say, what does a class final mean? A class final means that it cannot be inherited. It cannot have subclasses. And that's what a final class means. Okay? So something new, you haven't done inheritance now, maybe next week or another next, and that's what's the main things left. Once you get kind of comfortable with more Java, then I'll go on to inheritance, right? But a final class means this class cannot be extended. You've extended the exception class. This class cannot be extended. It's a final class, right? It cannot have children. It cannot have subclasses. So that's another example of final, just out of the blue. So it is extending the object class and it implements. You'll say, now what's this implements? You haven't seen it before. Implements is basically kind of extension, but then these are interfaces. Again, you're not very familiar with interfaces. Give me another week and you should be. We'll talk about it when it comes. Okay. So here is the class. So I open up the class. I see, oh, here are the fields. It has a max field and a min field. Both are constant. See, notice if you follow conventions, it's so clear to you. Anything in caps is a constant. If you follow conventions, I look at your code and I know what you're trying to do. So max and min are constants. They are static constants. Usually constants declared in a class will be static. Why? What's the sense of putting the same constant value in each object? If I have to give an announcement on Blackboard, I just put it on Blackboard once. Everybody sees it because I'm not changing it for every student. You know what I mean? So those are static constants. And also notice then there are some methods. Do you notice something strange here? What's missing in this class definition? What's missing in this class definition? That's usually always present in a class. You have instance variables, constructor, and then methods. There is no constructor in this class. You say, then how will I create an object and work with it? You will notice that all the methods that I'll do are basically, I'll be using them as class constants. They're all static methods. They're all static methods. Except, no, they're all static methods. Notice, they're all static. So there are some methods I noticed, but maybe these are coming from somewhere from any, no, it's coming from here. But the ones that I'll be using, so that you won't find any constructor here, but you'll be able to use it, the static methods, right? So that's the first time you've kind of seen, oh, so there will be always, but remember, every class has that default constructor, takes nothing, does nothing. So you can always say new local date time. So it doesn't have an overloaded constructor, I must say, right? It doesn't have an overloaded constructor, but it has its usual default constructor, takes nothing, does nothing, okay? So, but I mean, it wasn't mentioned here, so by default. So there are some static methods, and that's my aim today, to use the static methods. Okay, so as soon as I use a new class, please go and look at the class and see what it does. And when I use those methods, please see what methods am I using, what is it returning, what are the parameters it needs. That's how you will learn. Remember, I said in the beginning of the semester, in Java, you have to learn two things. One, use the library. It's already available, thousands of classes. And two, create your own classes so that you can add them to the library if you become great programmers, right? So both things have to be, so you have to learn how to use them. And then I have two class constants. Why class? Static. Why did I make them public? Because of course, it's a constant, it can be changed, so I really don't care. You know what I mean? Like, even if, what will I do with private? Even public doesn't matter to me because they're constants, it cannot be changed. But why class constants? Because every object should be able to use them. And cannot change it, but can use them. So it's like saying, okay, that's what they are. So constants, whenever usually, and these are called named constants, they are given a name. And why do we use named constants in our code? So that when I write code, it makes more sense to you. The word minimum severity will make more sense than the value 1. For games you've written, I'm seeing magic numbers, 10, 14, 1, and I have no clue what you're trying to do. How would I know? But if you had called it a name, something like blackjack, for example, if you were writing the blackjack game, I would say, oh, that's what 11 means. It's 21 means, it's the winning condition. So you could call your constants winning conditions, stop conditions, and it makes sense. When I read it in loops, or when I see you using it, it makes sense. Which reminds me, I am marking your card game. It's taking more time than I thought, because I thought, oh, if it runs, it's fine, but unfortunately, many games are not running. So if they're not running, then I have to look at the code quality to see what is running through. So I'm trying my best, but when marks come back to you, and of course I'll give you my feedback. I'm writing it on the paper you gave me so that because there's so much, every game is different. There's so much. So instead of creating a rubric and giving my comments back, I'm writing everything in. Then you have it back and you can kind of match them. Oh, this is what she's trying to say. Just because everybody is different, right? So it's kind of difficult. But of course, as you know, there will be comments, there will be complexity, code quality, and whether the game works. Those are the 4 things I asked, right? So that's how it will be found. But I haven't finished them, so can't return them to whoever. But if you're interested, Sanjay's is done, Henry's is done, Tyler's is done, not yet, no, right. So if you would like, you can come in my office hour and take it and discuss it if you like. You know what I mean? But I can't distribute it right now because I haven't finished it. I'm just going by Blackboard names, so that's how it is marked. So when it is marked, I'll return. But that's what I'm trying to say. Name constants are important because they make sense to whoever reads your code, and maybe to you also after 6 months. If you read your own code after 6 months and you have no clue what are the numbers you're using, right? So always write good code. I've always emphasized, if you want to be programmers, perfect programmers is what we want out of you, not it works programmers. Okay, that's my aim. Of course, the rest when you go out in the real world. So those are my instance variables. Are all of them making sense? Ticket number, definitely important. Who created it? Whose issue is it? The email of that person, the issue itself, the description of the issue, the resolution, and of course the date it was created and the date it was closed, right? That's what I think are the characteristics or attributes of a ticket. You could add more if you like, but at least these are the minimum. I can't think of more, but of course, as I said, remember, whenever we start thinking, it's a design issue, we have to design them well. Okay, so now in the card game, for example, you could have created a class called player because you always need players. What is a game? A game is always works with players. So you could have created a class called player, and then all methods that were related to players you could have put there and then use them in your code. I've seen it, but very less. But again, you're learning, right? It's a learning process. It's a learning process. So think, always think. Okay, so we are now a little bit ahead. We are not only talking about syntax. I'm not saying, okay, create a class with these attributes and these methods. Now I'm saying, think about it. What should be the attributes of that class? Okay. Okay, now our constructor, our friend, always there. We always have this constructor. It creates a ticket for the reported issue. Here are my params. Please don't forget your add params. Name the param. It exactly matches what it is called here. Param names means names of your parameters. So when you look at a method, you can always look at the parameter names. Think of why is she telling us what to do. Look, you can always look at the name of the parameter. And then, of course, if there are parameters here, this month makes sense because month exactly matches this month's. Right? So therefore, I say with add param, please mention your parameter name. But with add return, you can mention your variable name because we don't know what your instance variables are. So returns will never mention a name. Returns will always say something very general. For example, this says a local date time based on this date time with the months added. That's all it is saying. It's not saying return the instance value of the instance variable. No way. Like, I don't know what instance variables your class has. Nobody knows. This is what we see. These are the Java doc comments we see. The general public sees. Okay. So again, as I've said, just to save time, you have all these params here. Normal, grammatically correct layman English. Makes sense, right? So the unique number of the ticket, the name of the user who has reported the issue or opened the ticket, however you would like to say it, the email of the user who has reported the issue or opened the ticket, param, the issue, the description of the issue, severity, the severity of the issue, email, and this system is throwing, and it says, what about the others? Where is your closed on and opened on date? I'll show you how I've worked around that. I don't have to ask the date it was opened. I can use the system's date, the current date, to say, this is today's date and use it. That's the date it will be created on. And closed on, we don't know when it will be closed, so we'll start with none, right? So some parameters you'll say, oh, not all parameters have come up, because you'll see what I'm going to do, okay, in my code. And then it is throwing an email exception, and you'll say, what is this email exception? There are 3 exception classes I've created. I'll quickly go through them, and it will make sense if it made sense when I used my exception. So it throws an email exception, and when is that exception thrown? It will be thrown when the email of the user is invalid. So emails have to be valid. You could have done it for names also. Names have to be valid. Like, you can't have a name of a person 123 at Georgians. It doesn't make sense. But anyway, at least I'm showing you one example because email is more like easy to like, it's not easy, it's just more logical, I would say. If the email is correct, doesn't matter what the person's name is. If you don't want to give me your name, that's fine. But your email should be correct because that's the way I have to communicate with you. Okay. Okay. So let's see, what am I doing? So what is this email exception? Now notice the use of creating your own exception classes. One, clarity. Email exception or something to do when the email is wrong. Two, you couldn't find anything matching in the Java library. Illegal argument exception won't work. Arithmetic exception won't work. Index out of bounds exception will not work. Those exceptions will not work, so you create your own exception class. And it matches your application and it has a name which makes complete sense. Something to do with an email. Therefore, I called it email exception. So if you look at that file and quickly open it, it's not a big one at all, right? Comments are missing. Anyway, I can put them afterwards, or you can. My Java doc comments are missing here. But what is it? It is extending the exception class. Please keep in mind, we have an exception class in the Java library. Two groups, unchecked exceptions and checked. Unchecked, you can ignore. JVM will automatically catch them. You've seen so many of them. Arithmetic, index out of bounds, arithmetic, null pointer, these are all checked. Non-checked, you don't have to even check about them. But the other class is the checked ones, and the checked ones, you will either have to throw them further or handle them. So I'm creating a checked exception. It has to be checked in your code. You have to check for it. And how do I check it? The class will throw it, the application will handle it. So what is it? It's just a normal class extending the exception class. So I get all the properties of the exception class. This is a subclass of exception. And I created a constructor, and in the constructor, I just pass the email. And the message that I do, I say email is not a valid email. So how is it different from my exception? The my exception, you are passing the whole message and it just spit it out. In this one, the message is inside the constructor. It's kind of limited to just this class. I can't use it for invalid name because what does it say? It's not a valid email address. So you could create an exception class for all exceptions in your code. And again, remember your super. Super is the call to the parent class, constructor. And it has to be the first statement in the constructor of the subclass. So the subclass is email exception, the superclass is exception, and the first statement in the constructor of a subclass has to be a call to the constructor. Everything gets transferred, everything is inherited, but you can't inherit constructors. Constructors are not inherited, so you call them, so you invoke them, and that's how you call them. You say super, and then whatever you need to pass to that constructor. So super is a way of calling the parent constructor. So when a subclass inherits or extends from a class, then it automatically inherits all methods. It can use all the methods. The only method, the special method that it does not inherit is the constructor. But you can use it by calling it, by invoking it. And it has to be the first statement in the constructor call. So if you don't put it, automatically, one you can't see is super empty. So it is always called, automatically it is called. So it is automatically inserted. Like every class automatically extends from java.lang, this call is automatically inserted inside the constructor. Okay. Okay. So having said that, that's my email exception class. So that's what it throws. You will pass it the email and it will throw this message. It will say is not, it will take the email and it will say is not a valid email address. So all your exceptions, if you look at them, you will notice the closed exception. So if you the name tells you, sorry, ticket number does not exist, closure cancelled. So you're trying to close a ticket that doesn't exist. So the message is inside them, ticket update. This ticket cannot be updated because there is no ticket by this number. So the messages inside the exception classes are very linked to the particular parameter that you are talking about. So that's how instead of creating just one my exception class in which I pass the error message, I'm just passing the erroneous parameter and then the message is hard-coded inside the class. So that's another way of creating your exception classes, different from a single one that I created in the last project. Okay. Okay. So let's come back to where we were. Trouble ticket. Okay. So the constructor is doing a few things. It is setting your ticket number, but I can't use a set method because ticket number is final. I use a normal assignment statement. Then I have my set username, the set issue description, the set severity, and the update email. So I'm going to look at the severity and email with you because set username will just say username gets username, and this issue description will just say the description gets issued. Those are easy. But now what about the other attributes? So you see I've said add code. So wherever you see add code, we want to add more code. So you have two more instance variables. One was called created on and the other was called closed on, right? So let's see how to do that. So you can remove it if you like. I mean, this was just so. Take your instance variable created on. assign it a value. So it is created on, I don't want to do this myself. I don't want to say today is July 18th and then the time is 11:44 or 45. It's too much work. Why should I do it? Right? Because there is a class available, there is a method available, I'll just do it. So this is how you do it. You can initialize a static method called now. And the static method now picks up. Again, you will say, there's no magic. Always remember, I have to look it up, you have to look it up. So there is a method called now. And what does now do? It's kind of, I mean, it makes sense that now says what is today's time. So if I go to MNOPQR, MNO, now. So there are two. There is a now without parameters. There is a now which obtains the current date time from a specified clock. And you'll say, what's clock? Another class, okay? And from a particular zone. I'm just saying obtains the current date time from the system clock in the default time zone. So if you click on it, it will say, it's a static method. So I use it with the class name. It obtains the current date time from the system clock in the default time zone. So it picks up your time from your computer. So if that's wrong, of course it's wrong. But if that's correct, then it's correct. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you're relying on it. You'll say, what if it is wrong? Then you know what? Think about it. Okay, so I'm going to use this now method in my code and I assign it here. Make sense? So created on is initialized to the current date and time. It's a format. You'll see they have mentioned a format. It's a date time combination. It's a date time combination, current date time using the system clock and the default, and it's not null, right? But it's current date time. Okay. What about closed on? When I create a ticket, what is the value of closed on? Nothing yet. I don't know when the ticket will be closed, right? So you can just initialize it to null if you like. That way you'll say, why not a blank? Or why not something like anything else? You'll see I'll use this. If the closed on is null, I'll say my ticket is still open. So I'm just trying to see what will be easy for me. Of course, you could have, can you initialize it to empty string? It's not a string, it's a local data. You can't initialize it to empty string. So you'll have to initialize it to something that's a valid date and time, and that's too much. Like I'll have to then see, oh, what's the format? How do I put it? Will it be closed on say 5 days from now? I don't want to bother about it. I'll close it when it's closed. So to initialize it, I just initialize it to null. Null is a valid value for any object. I don't have to worry about it. But I can't initialize it to double. I can't put an empty string in front of it. I cannot. I can't do this. I can't. It will complain. Why? Because that's an empty string and closed on is not a string variable. It's a local date time variable. So don't make those mistakes, right? What does it say? It says incompatible type. You're trying to assign a string to a local date time object. You can't do it. It's not possible, right? So the easy way out, of course, you could create a local date time. You'll say, oh, if it is July 18 today, IT says, okay, I'll close it by by Friday. Sorry, not February, Friday. Who knows whether it will close or not? So how can you assume things? The easiest way and the correct way, not the easiest. The correct way would be to start with null. And the date is closed, again use the now and put the value. And it's closed, right? And anything else? Anything else we have? We have the severity, right? We have the severity. You can, or have I done it? No, we've done it. Anything else? How many did we have? I can't remember. Oh, the resolution. I thought something was missing. Resolution. Now again, why didn't resolution come as a parameter? Because I'm creating a ticket. The resolution is still not there. The case is still to be resolved, right? The issue still has to be resolved. So it can't be given with when the object is created. So when a ticket is created, it doesn't have a closed on date and it doesn't have a resolution. You're just creating a ticket. You're sending it to IT. The ticket is being created for you. So again, now with resolution, you have two options. Resolution was a string. So you could either initialize it to an empty string if you want or to null, whatever works for you. Whatever, right? So you can do either. They're both correct because it is a string variable as far as I remember. Resolution means what is the resolution? What's your solution about it? So both will work. You can do it either way. It won't complain. It won't complain. It's a string variable, right? So be careful what you can initialize it with. So whatever works. If I need to change it to empty string, I'll come back and change it here. Object. So keep in mind the use of a constructor. The constructor will initialize the instance variables of an object. it will construct an object, it will instantiate an object, therefore it is called instance for your information. It will create an instance of the object and will initialize its state. It's called the state of the object. And that's its states. Its instance variables are its states. What's the number? What was it created on? What's the, who sent it? What is the email of that person? All those are its state. The instance variables are its states. So that's the constructor. Clear? Right? So the three things that were missing were these three variables, and I have initialized them. Now the settings is not so difficult. Set username, I haven't done any validation, but that's how you set it. Set methods will take a parameter and will give it to your instance variables. Then comes the set issue. Again, issue is just a string. I'm not doing any validating on it. Nothing is validated. Whatever you type it, whatever you send as an email, they just pick up, copy and paste into your issue. That's what happens. I'll see if I can show you an issue from our IT department, a ticket from the IT department, right? They have a whole, before it was more kind of manual, they used to do it, but now they've used an application, I forget what it is called, it starts with B. So now it's more like, it's more professional, but that's how it comes back by created on, by, issue, and a description of the issue and so on. So it has been automated now, but that's all it is. They've used a ticket class, they've used a ticketing system, an application has been created, and there it is. I'm not saying it is in Java, it could be in any language, but it has been done, right? So that's the set issue. Now let's do the update. Why didn't I call it set? Why did I call it update? Just made more sense. You could have called it set, doesn't matter, right? I don't know why I called it update, but it's done. You can change it if you like. Now, here is where I'm going to show you a little bit of regular expressions and validations of emails. So emails can have letters, emails can have digits. We'll have the @ character, the period, and I mean, that's what I can think of. But again, as I said, writing regular expressions or creating the expression itself is a whole thing in itself. So I Googled it, I found one that kind of made sense and was okay. May not be the best, right? But at least I'll show you how to use it. So the aim is to take a regular expression, match it against the email you're giving me, and if it matches, then the email is valid, otherwise it is not valid. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. So write it with me now. So as I said, may not be the best regular expression, but it's not wrong. Okay, so I'm going to set up, I'll put some comments here just because this is new for you. Right, again, these are regular comments. Now these comments are for you and me. Right, the Java doc comments are for your class. The class definition has it. Every method has it. Again, they have rules: add param, add return, add throws, a description, and this is what comes in the class definition. The Java docs that you create. I hope you haven't forgotten. You can create Java doc with your code. You've learned how to do it in some menu, right? We'll do it today just so that you can recollect it. But the comments inside a method, whether you write line comments or whether you write group comments, are for you and me. So you are trying to write something so that you can remember in future. Remember, no project finishes in a day. Projects take time. So you have to write comments because nobody can remember stuff. And of course, you are working in a group. You're not working on an application alone. So everybody needs to communicate with each other. So you have to have regular comments. These are regular comments. So I'm going to set up a regular expression for the email. So regular expression is a term that technically means that it's an expression that you're trying to match. You're trying to set out the rules for your email. That's what a regular expression is. So there could be rules for emails, rules for telephone numbers, rules for even names of persons, rules for like anything. You can create any custom rules, any custom rules. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to set up a regular expression, and I have taken this from the net, looking for regular expressions for emails. You can call it whatever you like. I've just called it regex for regular expression. And I'll kind of tell you what I've done. But again, as I said, and it's not rocket science, but it needs more time. So what I'm saying here is, so they're strings, okay? They're strings. Regular expressions are strings. So what you are saying, it can consist of all these characters. So bear with me. So they all have a meaning, okay? So that's the caret sign. Okay, and then in the square brackets, it says what is allowed. Brackets. And close it so that we don't forget to close it. So what are you saying? You are saying that I can have anything from A to Z. Right? I can have anything from A to small z. Are basically a range. You could have said A, comma, B, comma, C. Then you're saying only A, B, and C. You know what I mean? You could go A, B, C. That's it. Nothing else. But I'm saying anything from A to Z, anything from small a to Z. It can also have any of the digits from 0 to 9. Yes.
Key is the arrowhead that points
Above the 6, above your number 6, the caret sign, right? You can have anything from 0 to 9. You can have a plus. Some people do it. Underscore, right? You can put underscores and pluses. So I'm only following the rules. I looked up the rules for what can go into an email address, and I'm just putting them there. You can have the period. You can have the dash. So you can have any of these in your email, right? They're all valid. At is coming, but this is the first part before the at. Okay, this is the first part before that. And then you will have 1. The plus says 1 of at. Okay, so you have to kind of know what these symbols mean. Okay, so the square bracket means any of these, any number of any of these. So I could have any number of A's, any number of B's. So that's as many. Then the plus at says then comes 1 at. You can't have more than 1 ats in your email address. Okay, so that's what it is. So you just have to know to read it. And then it will be followed by. And then it will be, and as I said, it's not easy. You just can't say, oh, you know what? I'll do it and I'll know it in a minute. No, you will not. It will take time to create a regular expression. And then you can have, and as I said, I had to pick it up. I don't know it by heart. Like I can't always figure out. And this may not be the best expression. And then an at, it says you'll have a dot somewhere in it, right? So the first part says you could have the same things repeated again. So I'll show it to you where I picked it up. And again, the dollar had a meaning which I forget. I'll have to look it up myself. But I had to look up the regular expression, of course, figure it out and do it. So I know a few things because I use it. I have used it. I'm not an expert at regular expressions. But I know a few things. I know what A-Z means, what underscore all this means. I know what at means. I know what the plus dot means. I know these, but do I know everything? No. So you'll say, then what do I do? Nothing, nothing. Like you learn like I learned, right? You can go and say regular expressions. And you can do regular expressions in Java, the ones that, again, it's available in every language. And then you'll have to, there's a whole lesson on it from Oracle, if you would like to. And I think that is where I went, because I usually go to there. And they'll talk about all these. I mean, you'll have to kind of work a little. What are regular expressions? What are the symbols you can use and so on? They'll all mention it somewhere. And of course, there will be examples, okay? So I picked it up from somewhere for sure. Okay, just to let you know. But this is a regular expression which is supposed to be one that will work with emails. We can try something. We can try one without an at sign. We can try one with more than one at signs. So things like that. I may not put anything after the at sign. Let's see what it complains about. So these are regular expressions. Now, how do I use it? So I've created a regular expression, just a string. Now you'll have to use classes in Java to say, please match this with this. Okay, so here is how you do it. There is a class called pattern. Oops, there is a class called pattern in Java. And again, it's all coming from reading stuff, right? And you're saying, I want to match this pattern. So how do you say, I want to match this pattern? You're trying to create a pattern object. You're trying to create a pattern object from this regular expression. So the method is called compile, and you're trying to make it from this regular expression. You have to go this route. So you start with a regular expression. You have to know how to create it. Then you create a pattern object. I've called it pattern. As I said, Java programmers are lazy to think of names. Their object names will sometimes match their class names with a small p, with a small letter starting, because class names always start with caps. I've created a pattern object. And now I have to create a matcher project. All these classes I had to look up. I had to look up the methods, understand what they did, and result. Okay. And the example was, if you notice, it was right here. They had given some examples here. If you kind of read through it a little, of course, you can't read through it right now, but they kind of give you this pattern. They tell you how to use the pattern and how to use the matcher and so on. So keep in mind, guys, the net is full of thousands of resources. Learn how to use them without cheating. That's all you have to do. When you do your assignments, when you do whatever, you're allowed to go and look and see, oh, this is how I do it, but then don't copy code. All you do is copy the idea, right? So that's what I did. Okay, so here, now I'm creating a matcher. So all that was mentioned, I had to follow it this way. So what is the matcher I'm creating? Using the pattern object. So basically you're saying a string has been converted into a pattern. That's what the pattern.compile does. It compiles that expression into something that Java can recognize. And then further, the pattern is That object is going to match it with this, the one that you've said there. So a few steps to be done, but this is the logic behind the steps. Create a regular expression, right? And then all you're trying to do is you're trying to match your email address that has been passed as a parameter with that particular fact. So you have to use the matcher. You have to create a matcher object and use the matcher method of the pattern to do it. Just learn how to do it, right? And I learned it when I needed it. Okay. So now, so you've matched it now. So now the option is, did it match or did it not match? So if the email is valid, when I say match, it's not one-to-one match. Match is saying this is the pattern it is matching. Okay. So if the email is valid, if the email is valid means pattern matching has taken place, then we just have to set the instance variable. How do we do it? We go this dot email is equal to email. I think I called it email. So this, remember, is used when the name of your instance variable is same as the name of your parameter to differentiate between the two. This is syntactically okay, but it's logically not. Right? Syntactically, it will say, okay, you are taking the value, assigning it to self. I don't care. But syntactically, it's fine, but logically, it is wrong. You want to take that value and assign it to the instance variable. Or, of course, if it matches, then that's what you have to do. Oh, sorry. Where is my if statement? If it matches, then it is valid. Otherwise, it is not. So this is how you say it matches. The matcher project has a matches method that returns a Boolean value. So if it is true, that means it matches. Okay. If it matches, do it. Just assign it. Right. So if it returns true, bring your mouse over it. It was telling you it was a Boolean. You can always go right click and you can always say, show me the Java doc comments, and it will take you to that particular. Or you can always say navigate, and in navigate you can go to source, and a window will open up right in NetBeans where it will show you the source of your method. If that helps, that's perfectly fine. I'm just in the habit of looking at Java doc comments, so I prefer that, but nothing stops you. You can say navigate and go to source and see what will happen. It will open up a window. Let's come on. It does open up a window because I've used it before, unless that's strange. It opens up a new window and you can look at the source right away. Yeah. Why is mine not working? Navigate. Oh, maybe I haven't selected it. And I'm thinking I have because it's all in yellow. There it is. I hadn't selected it. The yellow was just kind of, the visual impact was I've selected. So there it is. So as I said, if you like it, sure. But notice this is what it does. It says matches is returning a Boolean value, and it is from, and it doesn't tell me a lot. Like here is the code. I've directly gone to the code. I prefer going Java doc comments because it just makes more sense to me. So here is the code. But if you would like to look at what it is, then you can always go here. You can always go, you can always go wherever you were and then do a right click. You can say, show me the Java docs. And what happens is it will open up the Java docs, and there it is, the matches method. More English like. It says attempts to match the entire region against the pattern. And if the match, which one I'm using? Yeah. And if it matches, can be obtained via the start. It says it's a Boolean, and true if and only if the entire region sequence matches this matches pattern. So the entire region is matching, right? So that's how I mean, that's my way of working. Doesn't mean you have to do it. So if it matches, we are good. Else, I need to throw an exception. Remember, I need an else here because I'm doing the checking afterwards. I could have done it not matches and then throw, and otherwise I could have done this. So you can do it either way. In a previous class, I do the not checking, the false, and I throw it, and then I don't have to write an else. Just to show you that everything, anyway, it can be done. Choose whatever is more easier for you. Else, throw a new. Which exception would I like to throw? Because I have an email exception. Create a new email exception object and just pass the email to it, and your job is done. Remember, there it took that email and said it was not a valid email. The message is there. Here I only passed the parameter that is erroneous. Okay, makes sense? Are you okay? Okay, good. So that's done. So that's update email. So again, just a small introduction to what regular expressions are, so that it's not Greek to you when you see it somewhere. You know the two classes that you can use in Java to kind of work with them. Let's look at the set severity method. I kind of put it for you because you've done it so many times. I've said that if the severity is between 1 and 3, if that's what you've said, sure, I'll use it. Don't give me a 10 saying, oh, it's very urgent. I don't care. It's not a valid value. I'll give it the minimum severity. So give me a value between 1 and 3. That's how it has to be set. and I'll give it. If not, then it's just automatically by default set to 1. So I'm not throwing an exception saying, oh, it's not a valid value. I'm just putting it to its lower limit. So again, that's another option. You may not throw an exception because severity is not something that's the end of life. Oh, the object cannot survive without it. It cannot work without it. You know what I mean? Like it is invalid. Okay, but if you haven't given me a right value, I'll put it to 1. So you have to think, where do I need to throw an exception and where can I go beyond? So if you do not give me a valid email, the process stops. Why? Because that's the way that the communication between the client and the server is taking place, right? So I'm the client, the person who's creating the ticket, or the person who is creating the issue is the client, and the person who's solving it is the server. So of course, without email, I can, if it's an invalid email, stop, the process stops. But if the severity that you gave to your issue is not valid, that means you didn't give it a 1, 2, 3, I'll just give it a 1. So you decide what needs to stop and what can go on with the proper value, with a valid value. So one just says minimum severity. Okay, makes sense? So you've done this before, except that again, we may have thrown exceptions or we may have not changed the previous value, but here there is no question of changing the previous value. When it starts, it is a 0. So I can't give it as 0. I have to give it a value, so I give it a valid value, but a default valid value. Okay? Something that you use in your tables also, you have a default. So if you don't give it a right value, it goes to default. Then the get username, you've seen this get methods, you're all good at it because all it does is returns the variable. So I've kind of filled up the get names for you. All these are easy. The get resolution, the get ticket number, the get created on, I return it. And that the close date, everything are just normal gets now, right? So I've kind of fixed it, just done it. Now here, if I want to find out if the ticket is open, how can I tell the user? Is your ticket open or not? That's one option. Or maybe the resolution could be null, but that's not, maybe the person called and said, you know what, I've resolved it, I don't need your help. So it's closed at least. So definitely closed on is an option of checking. Though resolution was also null or empty when you started, you could check that too, right? But a closed date is definitely a better one because, as I said, somebody may just email and say, you know what, I've taken care of it, and the ticket is closed. And it happens sometimes. To IT, I say, oh, this is what is happening, and then I resolve it myself because I could, it was easy, right? So the way here is, so now your closed on date was null when it was created. So if it is still null, it is open. Otherwise, it's not open. So what must you return? You have to basically return a true or a false value because the return type is Boolean, and you'll see an exception, you'll see an error here. Because it says, notice, come to the error. I've told you, try to read errors, guys. It is very important that you try to read them. See, it says missing return statement. You'll say, what's missing? Because you said my method will return a Boolean value and you don't have a return statement. That's what it is saying. That's all it is saying. As soon as I put something in, I'll be okay to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check my close date. And as I said, it was a very good idea. You could do resolution also. But again, resolution may or may not be empty or null. So I'm going to say return. Right, and return depending upon what are you checking. So you could do it in 2 steps. Again, try to do things compact and well. So if you're closed on, it was called closed on, not closed date. So if your closed on is null, So what am I returning? True or false? If closed is null, it is a false. So return closed on is null means it will return a true. Is ticket open? True. Yeah, that's okay. Is ticket open? Yes. If closed on is null, the ticket is still open. So you just have to think, is the right thing going back? So closed on is null, it's true. Return true, and the question is ticket open? Yes, it is open. Right? So you'll have to think what I'm returning. So return true if the ticket is open. False if closed. So this is open. It is returning true when the ticket is open. So closed on null means the ticket is still open. Right, so again, you could have created a Boolean variable, therein checked closed on is null and return the Boolean variable, but you could do this. So it checks the condition. The condition equality will return a true or a false. I mean, the answer is true and a false, and you're returning. Job done, right? So closed on done. Here, when was the ticket closed? So this will update the resolution. This will update the resolution field. So close ticket is saying it will update it. If there was any resolution, it will update it and then close the ticket, right? So let's do it. So let's add code. So whatever is the previous value of resolution will be added to it, and it will be closed. So you already had a string variable. We already had a string variable called resolution. You take that resolution, and it is a string. So you can use the plus equal to. Remember, the plus here is concatenation, right? It is the concatenation. Okay, and because it's the same variable, the variable name is same. This dot resolution gets whatever it is in before resolution. Add it to it, right? Remember, the plus equal to is the concatenation, and close it. And again, what will I do? I won't say, oh, what's the date time today or whatever. I'm going to take the local date time and again use the now method with it. Guys, in Java, these are called methods, not functions. Many of you in your comments have called them functions. Maybe because you're coming from a different language background where they're called functions, you use function in your comments. You will not say this function, you will say this method. Okay, in Java, we call them methods. We don't call them functions. Yet we used to call them functions. There was a difference between whatever it was. I needn't go back to procedural programming, but we call them methods in object-oriented programming. And check your and close your ticket. So here is the resolution and close your ticket. Right? Now, there is another thing. This is closing the ticket. You will say, what if, did I see a set resolution method by any chance? Did you see a set resolution? There is a get, so that means there should be a set. Set. No, you could always add a set. That will be your intermediate resolutions if you want. This one is assuming that the resolution is given and the ticket is closed. But you could always kind of give a resolution and then another one. I mean, those are not resolutions, those are basically steps. But you could always have another set method and you can keep concatenating to your resolution. Take your previous and keep concatenating. Adding a new line to it and keep concatenating. So that when at the end the ticket is closed, the resolutions are all in one line. So we keep concatenating. So I didn't write a set. Now that I think of it, I'm saying, oh, I only have a resolution. Whereas, as I said, there could be communication while it is going on. There is. Right? There always is. Right? So I've assumed that the resolution is given and the ticket is closed. You could always add a set resolution or an update resolution. We should not call it set. We should call it update resolution, which will take your previous resolution and add to it, concatenate to it. Right? We are not replacing them, we are concatenating. You could always add the set. I just thought about it when I was writing this closed ticket. Anything else? Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. It's not called set resolution, it's called update. Okay, so there it is. So this method would add a timestamp to the issue and add information findings about the ticket. There it is. Okay, so it's called update ticket. So a string that represents the information to record. So every time you give me something, it's not called resolution because resolution means a solution, end of it. That's why it's just called update information. So what will you do? No, this is about issue description. Sorry, this is about issue. Okay, so you're updating your issue. So instead of putting it in resolution, anything that comes up with the issue is added in the issue description. You could do it anywhere. I mean, I'll just stick to what I've done. So take your issue description, concatenate to it. So anything that new comes up is added to the issue description, not to the resolution. Resolution means final solution. Okay, so the issue description, whatever is there before, just add to it. But add it in a neat manner, please. So I'm going to format my string. I'm going to format my string and just pretty, nothing else. Okay, so how am I making it pretty? I'll put a %n. I'll always start with a new line. Always start with a new line. So your issue descriptions will come in different paragraphs or lines or whatever. So always start with new line. \n and %n mean the same thing. I'm going to show you something. So %s dash %s. Okay, two things with %s. Give me 1 minute what I'm trying to do. I'm going to add to the issue a new description, which is also going to save the time. This time, this is the update information. Okay, so I'm going to take the local date time. If you want, I can put it in a different line, then you can match. So take your local date time. Anytime something is added to the issue, definitely the time is also added. Always. Anytime you communicate, the date is always added. And then the update information. Comments, I said, oh, this is the method that is going to add a timestamp and information about the ticket. So I knew if there were no Java documents, I would be lost. Therefore, I said, oh, I should have a update resolution. There it is. It's called update ticket. And
Percentage and is a
new line. Percentage n, you could use backslash n in formats. In string formats, we usually use percentages because that's the usual way of formatting. You could use backslash n, but it's just symmetry, right? So percentage n, go to a new line. Percentage, the first percentage s will be replaced by local date time now, today's date and time. And then the second percentage s will be replaced by the update information you've sent. So with your issue, what did you say? Anything else you said? Anything else you said? Anything else you said? Or anything else the IT department said will all go into your issue, right? The final solution will go into your resolution. So instead of updating the resolution, it's not the right place anyway. Resolution means solution. This is where you update it. You just update your issue description. So you could have called it update issue description. I have called it update ticket, makes same. So there's the method. So as you write, it will come to your mind, oh, I forgot that, but thankfully I hadn't, it was just there. If I had, I would just add a method. So that's how you're updating. And notice anytime you update, you put the date and a dash, just like a normal dash, like just a differentiator, and then the update information. Right? Clear? So this is updating. So notice how I'm creating methods. When you have a ticket, you create a ticket. You can get all the information out of it, so all your gets. You can sets. So all your sets. Email, just because I wanted to do some validation, I did it. Severity, validation. Anytime I want to add a new comment, I put it in my update ticket. I want to resolve it, I say change, that's the setting. Close the ticket. Put the resolution, this is your solution, and the ticket is closed. So think of all the characteristics that go with an object and all the methods that the object requires. And last, our favorite toString method. Now I have made it a little neat and clean because remember, what does toString do? It gives you a representation of your object state. So what have I given? I've shown you a few things. I've shown you, so again, percent. So what does it say? Ticket number, percentage D for an integer, if you are not aware of it. Opened on, percentage S for a string. Closed on, percentage S for a string. Plus, again, I've gone to a new line. I've just gone to a new line. Issue and resolution will come on new lines. Just so that, so it will say ticket number this, opened on this, closed on this, all in one line. Then issue on a different line and resolution on a different line. Why? Because issue could be more than one line. So start with a new line and resolution on a different line, right? So how will the ticket number be replaced? Percentage D replaced by get ticket number, one-to-one match. As many number of format specifiers, as many number of outputs, leaving percentage N, of course. What is the second percentage S replaced by? Get created on date. Right? It's get created on date. What is the third one? Now notice a little thing. What have I done in third one? I've used a ternary operator. So if you ask me, you may ask me anytime about the object. Now it may not happen that the ticket is closed. So what have I done? I've said get closed on date. If it is null, then you say issue is open, else closed on. Show me the date. So I can use ternary operator. It's like an if. Remember, I've used ternary operator before. Ternary because it has three parts, right? There are two operators in between. It's called a ternary operator. So you will say, what if it is null? I don't want to see null, closed on null. Doesn't make sense at all. So what have I done? I've checked. Are you null? Then please print issue is open. Else print the date. Closed on was the date. You could say get closed on here since I'm using methods everywhere. So instead of closed on, please just replace it because remember I've said that in toString method it's just a norm to use methods. You call your methods. Oops. Oh, one less. It wasn't called get closed on. Maybe I don't have a get closed on. Do I have a get closed on? That's why it's not. Is ticket? Oh, it was is ticket open. Okay, I don't have one. Therefore, I haven't used a get method. So just use the variable. Then get closed on date. Okay, so that's its full name. Okay, so use that then. Use that then. What is it returning? What's the return type? Closed on. Okay, so get closed on date. The word date. Date. Oh, one more. There it is. Right. So the question mark. What is the question mark? This is the ternary operator. It has two. It's written like this. The first one says, what's your condition you're trying to check? If this condition is true, do this. If the condition is false, do this. So a ternary operator has that syntax. It has the syntax. This is a ternary operator. Like plus is a binary operator, minus is a binary operator. This is a ternary operator. A ternary operator has 3 parts and 2 symbols. Here comes your condition. You're checking the condition. If my condition is true, this is what I want to do. So what are you doing? You're printing issue open, right? Why printing? You say, where am I printing? Percentage yes, not printing, but substituting. And if your issue is open, and if your issue is closed, you get the closed on date and should. That's what the question mark and the colon are for. This is a ternary operator. It has 3 parts, if true, if false. You can assign it to, you can use it in an assignment statement. You can, like, it's just like an if else. If this, what happens, else what happens. Okay, that's what a ternary operator is. So notice, I don't know whether it's closed or not. So what did I do? I put this ternary operator, and that's the third argument. Third, this will replace this percentages. It will replace this percentages. Then comes the issue. There will always be an issue. So I've said, show me the issue. And then comes resolution. Maybe it's not resolved yet. So I do the same thing. I say, is the resolution null? Then I say issue is still open. Or you can say not resolved. Whatever you like. Issue open means it's not yet resolved. Otherwise, I'll show you the. So notice how in toString also I've used my ternary operator. So compact. Start writing compact code now. Don't say, oh, I'll declare a local variable because it makes more sense to me. We'll say now write good compact. More local variables you declare, more mistakes you will make. So avoid them now. Start using ternary operators instead of if-else. Don't use local variables if you don't use to. Say return and do it. Format your strings, format your output very neatly. Very neatly, because if the output is unclear, the whole purpose is lost. ToString is giving you a pretty representation of your object. That's what it aims. It should look beautiful, right? It should be clear, complete, and pretty. All 3. You have to keep that in mind. Otherwise, why wouldn't I just use my get methods, right? So the ToString method gives you a clear, complete description of the state of your object. So you'll say everything depends what you want to do. In your midterm exam, I said, give me the student name and the average mark. I didn't ask for all marks. Here I'm saying, tell me everything about it. Here, so everything is here. So neat. And again, it's not as if you'll do it and it will work. See how it looks, and if you have to make changes, make changes. Oh, this should go in a new line. Percentage n. Oh, I don't want to see this floating point number with 5 places of decimal. Point to it. So you start doing it. But do it, please, right? Your ToStrings should be clean and neat. And that takes care of your ticket class. Now you shouldn't have any error. I still have one. Where am I seeing it? I see it on this, but I don't see a red squiggly anywhere. I saved it. Control S. Yeah, where is the error? I don't see any red squiggly. So why is this not going away?
I don't have an error on my troubleshooter.
It shouldn't, right?
Yeah, clicking another one and then click.
Okay, so you mean get away from it and then come?
Yeah.
Okay.
It has all the time.
Okay, so I did say that there are no errors, because then you would see some red, we see that red marks on the right hand side. We didn't see any. So I'm saying, where is the error? There are no errors in the code. So before you were having errors because the code was not complete yet. Example, returns were missing. Return statement was missing. So because the code was not complete, you see it. Once you complete it, it should be fine. Are we okay? Any questions before we take a break? So that completes the ticket class. Once I'm done, at the end of the class, this will go back on Blackboard. Right? The completed version will be back. Okay, so take a break. 20 minutes, be back. And then we'll write the trouble ticketing system that will use the tickets. And the application, of course.
Excuse me, miss. I could ask you a quick question.
Sure.
I was trying to use that test option that we can do automatically using the IDE for stock manager. The class that we learned.
All you do is this, you kind of go to that. So you're using NetBeans?
Yes.
Okay, so you should be good. Did you also install JCO coverage?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's a part, but this is all you do. So example, suppose you wanted to create a test class for.
Oh yeah, no, I
you know how to do it. Okay.
See, I created
a
test for stock manager.
Stack manager. Okay, I see that. Okay, so what's the problem now?
So I was trying to just test the first method.
Test find product by ID.
So,
Okay, so
what I understood is, first I have to create an object of a product.
Exactly. Then you add it to the stock. Exactly. Then you try to find it. Where is your find? By which ID? Your ID 1234 is the one that you added. Okay.
Yeah. So
your
you
expected.
should find
Okay. So your expected result is the product. Yes, you should find it. Okay. What does it say? So what are the errors?
Product cannot be added. This is ID is already taken.
Doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah. Because I'm adding it to the stock.
Test find product by ID. Okay, by any chance, let's go up. You haven't done anything in your setup and before. No, you haven't.
I comment everything else.
Yeah.
So I'm just setting.
Yeah,
I
see what you
this
mean.
method.
Okay, so go to your something wrong in my stock manager, maybe.
I don't think it is. I was.
Yeah, but you never know, right? But I've tested it normally. Like I remember testing it.
You did that as well?
Yeah, I did. Like, oops.
You have your tester?
Yeah, I should.
We're just trying to learn.
Yeah, of course. Because I remember testing it. Source packages.
It's probably
here. No, I haven't written that tester yet, but I wrote this one. I said one shall give me an error and I shouldn't be able to add it. And then I said a find. No, I haven't done enough. Yeah, I did. The methods are correct. So why is it? Okay, so throws an exception. Try to find the product. If p.id here, you are not using my class, guy. Are you? Are you using it? Yes or no? Are you using the class I gave you? Have you picked up my code?
Yes.
Okay, you have picked up my code.
Yes.
So, okay, so if it is return the p, else throw an exception. Why is it saying in find? So find is going to.
And then I looked at the ad as well, because it was complaining
about the ad from the
saying that that particular ID 1234 was already taken. So
that is strange.
I took a look at the ad method,
it looks
but
okay.
Didn't seem like it was.
Okay, so add product is in stock manager, right? So add is throwing an exception. Okay. Add is creating a problem. It's coming here. Okay, now add is creating a problem, not that. It's the add that is creating a problem.
That's
okay, so
I thought.
So let me read my ad. Okay, I gave you more. Oh, you're using your code. Oh yeah, it's wrong. See, guys, I've given you my code and your test will be incomplete. I've added another condition to it. Your product cannot be null. And that will also throw. So your code is wrong. That's why it's.
Okay. So the test itself is okay.
The test itself was definitely okay. Try to change it. Remove that not from here. The not stocks. So if it contains it, we can't add it.
Just take it away.
Okay, wait. So wait. Yeah, that was creating problem. Okay, so we had to change it a little. So the throw comes first, the add comes afterwards. You know what was happening with this? I'll tell you why. Okay, put it back. Let me explain so that you know why it is happening. Because it makes sense. You're trying to say, oh, the stock doesn't contain it. It doesn't. And you add it, right? You add it. But after that, it still will come to this statement and it throws an exception. So you can either put it in else if you like, and then it will start working.
Okay.
Because the code is wrong. Because this code was wrong when I did it, but somebody pointed it out and I corrected it.
I need an else.
Yeah, so try an else there. Now it should not fail at least. Okay, test it now. Why is it saying it has errors? I don't understand.
Yes.
Yeah, got it? But please don't use your code because that's not complete. I've added more conditions in it.
I just thought that this worked like an else, even if
no, it depends upon what you're doing. It depends upon what you see. If I had said return, I use return and then it's fine. It automatically doesn't work like that. If I say return, then it's done, finished.
Yes.
If I don't return, then it comes here. But here it is adding and then it will follow the sequence, right? So it depends on how you're writing it. It's very important.
It wasn't that I wasn't following your code. It's just because I thought that it was supposed to work like this.
And that's what I did when I did it in class.
Yeah.
And then I realized it and I did, oh, something is not right. When I wrote the tester, I realized something was. So I've given you complete code, and see, I have extra conditions. You'll miss your, you'll lose your marks. I don't want you to do that. I've added another if which is missing in your code. That has to be tested too. So I'm saying add a product. Can that product be null? No.
Okay.
So don't use your code, please. I've given you the files on Blackboard. Use those, please.
Okay.
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 It could be
Sorry,
a little
but
bit.
thanks.
No problem. Yes.
Okay, so what was that thing that you were demonstrating by right-clicking with the navigate?
You can go to source if you want. You can do,
Yeah, the go to source works, but when I tried to show Java doc function, it created the same thing with the J-code coverage.
Could not actually, yeah, so I don't know what it was.
Yeah,
No.
I talked to Greg, but he emailed me and said that I should.
Yeah, it
talk
has to
to-
something to browser. I don't know what's with your browser. I have no
Yeah.
clue. I can't help you
Yeah.
here. What you can do with your browser maybe is uninstall it and install it again. I don't know what's your default browser. When you try to open something, it opens up in your.
Well, basically, I had three browsers, but I mainly use these two.
Yeah, but what is the default one?
Google
No,
Chrome.
I don't know. So something is wrong in your browser configuration, and I can't help you there because you have to set it yourself. I don't know.
Yeah, a friend of mine tried to fix it, but we almost screwed out my computer. But otherwise, the testing.java works fine, and the rest of
Okay,
things
that's
work fine.
That's fine, but I can't help you here, right? Because it's to do with your browser.
The JUnit assignment similar to what we did in class for that student thing.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Example that
Yeah, yeah.
and the first week they created and another one is this method where it has to get more courses because
You've forgotten to remove your fail statement. That's why it is failing.
yeah I have to remove it and I have to add a exception here.
It now depends. Now test get number of courses. If it is throwing an exception, okay. So let's go to one of the methods. Go to your student. Open your student. Student.java. Okay. See now. Let's come down. Let's come down to a method that is throwing an exception, something like that. The gets won't throw it. Okay, let's look at add, right? Now this add student mark can throw an exception if it is not valid. So when I test this method, I test it with something less than 0, and in there I add a null
We have
exception.
to,
Yeah.
yes.
So let the error come. That's not, the test is not failing. It just says there is an error, and the error says because you cannot.
Okay, so I have to just add to exception.
No. Where is your student? Did you pick up that student from me? I'll show you where I did it. Come down. Somewhere I did it. No? Is this my code? Oh, there it is. See here. If you in bracket you write, I am expecting an exception, then the test will pass. If you don't write this term, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
But
That
there
we
is
have
no-
to add here exception.
Depends. Is get number of courses throwing an exception?
Oh, okay.
It depends on the method you are testing, not in every method, right? So get number of courses is not throwing an exception. So why will I add it to my test? The add method is throwing exception. So when I create those tests, I say, oh, I want to see the exception, I don't want to see the exception. So I'm saying show me the exception, let the error messages. Because that's not failing a test, that's just showing an error.
Okay.
It doesn't say test has failed, it will say it throws an error.
So this error is basically right because I should receive an error
But why should you receive an error in get number of?
because it's null.
Oh, of course, because it is null, but right? But I'm not, okay, because did I say get number of courses as if something is null? So why are we testing it? Why are we testing this? I can test it.
Because
I want to get number of courses of a person. How will I test this method? I'll create a student, I'll add some courses, and then I'll say get number of courses should give me 5 or 4 or whatever.
here we are saying student instance equals to null.
So definitely you'll get a problem, right?
Okay.
I mean, definitely you'll get a problem because, like, how can you say null get your
So
number
that's
of
why I
courses?
asking that in the assignment, should we add an exception class so that it should be a.
But no, you are not going to change my method. My method get number of courses is not throwing an exception. So you shouldn't be doing this. You should be creating a student, adding courses to him and testing.
Oh, okay.
You have to test the methods I've given you,
Like
right?
we do it here.
With add, yes.
Okay.
Right? You see, you don't say, oh, what will, just look at my code and test my code. Okay?
Yeah, that's why it was null here, so that's why I asked.
Of course, if it is null, it's where you're saying null, give me your courses. What are you trying to do? Right?
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Kathy Light.
Igual en Flash decía, no, pues con F5, con F6. Mismo Nacho no tiene F5. Se robaron la tecla.
Hi Kathy, this is Anju here. Thanks for sending me that email, and I'm fine with it. I know it's not a big thing, it's the first meeting, but I'm just afraid to meet you alone. I don't know why. I don't know, I have this feeling. This is that kind of student. Okay? Thanks, Kathy. Bye-bye. Yes, how can I help you?
Yes, hi.
Hi, what's your name?
Sorry, I was late.
That's okay.
Abby.
Abby?
Abigail. Abigail.
Oh, Abigail. Okay.
Yes, or Abby.
Okay, so you have done programming. Do you teach programming?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
making
sure.
sense?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, because it won't make sense to people who don't understand. Right?
Yes, yes.
So I told Deb, I said it will only make sense to students, I mean to people if they know what I'm talking about. Otherwise it will be
Oh,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is our semesters?
Sorry?
Guys? In the school, it's by semesters?
Yes, it is by semester.
Oh, what
This is
semester
semester
is
2.
Two.
Semester
What is the career?
What is
What
that?
career?
Computer programmers. They want to be computer programmers.
Yeah.
Right? So they already had a previous fundamentals in
Yeah.
Java, and now this is their second course.
This is the second course of fundamental Java.
Of
Oh,
Java.
Java.
So
Oh,
fundamentals in Java, now intro, and then an advanced.
okay.
They do Java in 3 steps.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This is the second.
This is the
Yeah.
second one. Yeah.
Okay,
So they do
right.
have some, they should have some background.
Yeah.
And I've been teaching them for 8 weeks now. So
Okay.
this is our week 10. So they already have 8 weeks under their belt. 7 weeks and then 2 more weeks. So
Okay.
yeah, this is week number 10.
Number 10?
Week number 10, yes, in this semester. We have 14
okay.
semesters in a week, 14 weeks in a semester.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Could you share me your project to work with you?
Okay. What do you need? Oh, okay.
Because because you shared them
With the Blackboard, yeah.
yeah. But I
Why isn't it fixing the menu? Please. That's okay, don't worry. We have enough. Okay, wrong way. Okay, so you want what? You want what I'm working on right now. And where am I working is the big question.
Where?
No, I'm searching where I can find it.
Oh, not for the file explorer?
No, personal. Okay. So,
Yes.
okay, there you are. I think this is what I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see the dates. 18th of July. Yep, this is what I'm working on. Do you want me to put it in some place or just create a folder?
Yeah, no, it's all that are. Oh yeah. That's
So
right.
then you have to open it in your
Okay.
BlueJ. It won't open directly. Do you have NetBeans on your system?
Yeah, that means.
Okay, so you just create a project by the same name.
Okay.
And then copy and paste the files.
Okay. Trouble ticket system, right?
Yeah, trouble ticketing system, right?
Trouble ticketing. Yeah.
So just create like I did. All you have to do is you just have to go file, new project, and
trouble
then
ticketing system.
and trouble ticketing system. And then once you have it here, go into its package and just paste the files.
Okay.
Okay. And you should be good to go.
It's here, right?
Yeah.
Can we see the planation of the subject?
Can you see the course outlines?
Yeah.
What the course outlines are of this subject?
Yeah.
They're available online, okay?
Yeah,
In the course outlines, yeah.
Course of outlines. Okay.
So all you need to know is the subject. Like this is Comp 1008, right?
Comp 10.
1000. Oh, the number comes here. So this is just Comp. And then course is 1008. And then term is summer. And the year is 2017. And there it is. Those are the course outlines. Of this course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I like that.
That's how you do it. Just
in Georgia.
Just try to do a Google. Just try to Google course outlines Georgian College, and then this menu will come up, and then fill it in.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make sense? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
¿Están en línea el productor?
Diagonal course guión outline. Es que me gusta desde el Google. Diagonal course guión outline. Y ahí la diagonal. A ver si no nos pone course outline, espacio, outline, espacio, no, espacio, ajá, y luego en la y aquí le pones COMP, cuando es una lista de COMP como computational network. La parte no. Y después es el 1008. 1008. Es el pues, ajá. 1008. Luego term summer y
Do you have time today after my class?
Yes, I have.
The game is a mess. Okay. Like, the code is also 0.
Okay.
So if you want to discuss it, it's up to you. But I mean,
Yeah, I put probably saw that I put lots of comments there.
yeah, we're not even talking about comments. The logic. I'm not even talking about logic yet. The logic is completely wrong. But you're doing things that are not making sense. You're trying to say, does an array list contain a string, whereas it is an array list of cards? You are saying create an array list of deck of cards. That's not what we want. We want to create we just want to create an object of type deck of cards. So
Yeah,
it's completely
Yeah,
I shouldn't be saying it, but 0. You know what I mean? It's a complete 0.
No,
So I just want you to know that it's not that.
I still have a lot of. I'm still struggling trying to understand.
And you're trying your best, and I see you
many concepts.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm sounding confused because I am. I'm still confused.
And I'm trying my best. You see what I mean? Like, and I'm trying my best.
And just so you know, I checked your code, the stock manager, and it's not updated on the internet. On Blackboard.
It's in the assignments. I've given you files in the assignments. The new files are in the assignments.
It's not in class examples.
No, because I've changed things. We didn't do it in class, right?
Okay.
So the assignment says, please take these files and work with it. Because I've added new stuff in it. Comments were missing, stuff was missing. So I made it neat and clean. The one on Blackboard is what you did in class, in your weekly learning. But now in assignments, I've neatened up everything and I've given it to you.
Do you already have my marks for the card game?
I do. It's an 8 out of 24.
18?
8 out of 24. 8. The code is 0. It will not run. It has syntax errors. So if you want to discuss it, sure. Definitely the game will not run, right? Because there are syntax errors in the code. So the marks you've got are basically for your commenting maybe and the complexity of the game, which I shouldn't be giving those marks because it's not running. You know what I mean? How can a game be complex or simple if it's not even running?
It's just drawing all the time.
If the code has syntax error, how will it? I mean, there are syntax errors in the code. Don't even talk about logical errors.
I don't know if you remember when I went to your class and I said that morning before the morning after we were supposed to upload the code, I realized that I should use a throw catch.
Yeah. That's and included. Don't worry about that.
Oh, you consider that?
Oh, yeah. There are syntax errors like it has red squiggles.
Even so, okay.
I'm talking about syntax errors. Yeah. And of course, I can see many logical errors also. Like you're using a contains method to check an array list, which is an array list of card objects. And
you're looking for a string, yeah.
And you're looking. I mean, those are logical errors. They'll come after I check. First, I have to take care of the syntax errors to make it syntactically right. And then will come logical errors, which I can see right away. So it's, I mean, as I said, the marks you are getting is because of your comments and some marks that I gave you in complexity of the game. Which, I mean, like, how do I know how complex it is? You know what I mean? So just so that you know, I put all my comments on it and everything, and it will come back to you. But because you're working so hard and you're trying to think, I thought if you wanted to meet me today at 2:30.
Sure.
I don't have anybody else coming yet, but I don't know. But I have somebody at 2 for sure.
Yeah, I'll go to your office.
If you want to, right? It's not as if you have to.
You're going straight away there?
Yeah, but I have a meeting at 2 first with somebody else.
Okay.
And then I'll see you.
Okay.
If you're interested, of course.
Yes,
I mean, I'm not forcing you, right?
Oh, yes, I am.
I can show you where you are going wrong, and if you want to try again, sure, it's up to you.
This is my first time ever really struggling in my class in my whole life.
It's okay. It's a tough subject.
I have a degree from Brazil. I have a master's degree. I never had a problem so far in my entire life of a subject.
What have you done in masters in what?
I have a biology degree.
Oh, okay.
And I have
I wouldn't do good in biology at all.
Yeah, when I was in university, when I doing my master's, we were using all sorts of statistics software.
Yeah.
So that's when I got interested about programming.
Exactly. So you've done SPSS and all that? What statistics?
No,
What you
well,
use?
my master's was with
Yeah.
plant genetics.
Yeah. No, but what software were you using? Statistical software, I'm asking, because I'm a statistics graduate.
Many different types of. I can show you.
Yeah.
After
And
if
that's
you-
fine. But you see,
And
that
there's
doesn't.
this new field called bioinformatics.
Yeah, I know
when
that.
You,
My son has done his graduation in bioinformatics.
oh, really?
Yeah.
But since I didn't know anything about programming, I decided to learn
Yeah,
a little
exactly.
bit. So maybe I could add
More to your, yeah.
my
Mhm.
past knowledge in biology with this and try to maybe work in this
Exactly.
field.
And you're doing well. I'm not saying that, right? And Java is tough. It's tough
It's really
language.
tough. My GPA in the first semester was 89.
Mhm.
This semester I'm studying even more, but
It's okay.
it's
I
not
don't, I
working.
don't want to discourage you at all. My aim is to maybe if I give you something, it's, oh, that makes sense, and you start thinking about it. Because you guys are trying your best. And I'm trying my best. You know what I mean? Even from my side, I'm trying to bring examples and things that will make sense, that will you can relate to everyday life. I'm trying to, but if things click, good. If things don't click, then maybe we need a little more work. Right? So you're doing, I'm not saying that at all, but I hate to see students who work hard kind of not do well.
Yeah.
And that's why I said if you'd like to come and see me.
Yeah, I want.
Yeah?
Okay. Because I know that you don't have office hours after this class, or do you? You do?
2 to 3 today.
Okay.
Yeah, so therefore too, somebody already has it booked. So that's why I'm
Yeah, I'll
saying
just go there and wait for.
if you want to. It
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, 2:15, maybe I may be done, 2:30, I may be done.
I'll just sit there and wait.
Whatever works for
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, let's start then where we left off. Right, so let's start where we left off. We have created a ticket object now. So we know how to create a ticket object. We haven't created one yet. We've just created a definition. And now let's see how do we use it in a ticketing system. Okay, I think the time is up, right? I don't remember when I went on break, but I think it is up. So people can come in. Okay, so let's go back now to the next file I've given you. So now we want to create a trouble ticketing system, right? So the ticket is ready, as I said. Our ticket is ready, and now we need to create a system out of it. Same concept as your product class is ready, and now you need to create an inventory out of it. Same concept, right? So what is a ticketing system? A ticketing system will keep account of the tickets being sent to it. So that's what it will be. It's a system, right? It's a system that's going to keep information about the tickets that were sent to it and were they resolved or whatever. And maybe the ones that are closed can be removed because they're done, or maybe they want to keep a kind of a backup. I don't know, like it depends what you want to do. What will your application do at the end of the day? But before we write the application, before we write the tester or the application, we want to write the ticketing system. So what again I've given you, again, to save time, I've given you a ticketing system that has a skeleton and a few methods. And it says this class models a ticketing system. It maintains a list of tickets of type ticket submitted to report an issue, right? So all tickets that were submitted to report an issue. A ticket number is automatically assigned to the ticket being issued. Now there is something else that you haven't done before. Till now you've been either asking the value from the user and then passing it or passing hard-coded data. Now every ticket has a unique identifying number. So let's auto-generate it. And it's very easy, yes.
I took a screenshot and saved it for the test harness example that we looked at. Is it right if I close the page on my internet browser?
For what?
The test harness for the regex test harness?
I haven't used any testing or any internet yet. I don't think so.
Basically, you showed us a page while we were talking about the regex and creating the method.
Oh, okay. What were we talking about?
Sorry.
That's okay.
I remember you showing us this example where we were.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was just showing you where to look for resources.
Right. Well, I just.
Yeah, you can close it if you like.
Yeah, I saved screenshots. So
you don't have to. You can always search for it again, right?
Okay, well,
there are so many resources. I was just showing you one of them.
Right. Well, it kind of helps because it has the URL right there at the top. So thank you.
Okay. Okay. So let's see how the ticket number is generated and how are we maintaining a ticketing system. So as soon as we say ticketing system, that means I need a list. Now we've been using an array list, but I'm reiterating this that in Java, that's not the only type of list that is available. For me, this works, so I'm using it. Maybe I should look for something else like a hash map or a tree map object for you, so that you have an idea, because there are many collections in the Java library. Array list is the simplest one to use, and it has somehow worked for us in all our examples. So let's look at this now. So what I need is an array list of objects in which I'm going to keep my tickets. Right? I need a collection. It could be a data table in a database, it could be a file, or it could be an array list. You could choose whatever, doesn't matter. Because I'm not teaching databases in this course. Files I may, I'm not sure whether it's in our course curriculum. I don't think so. I think that's also in the advanced course. So I'm sticking to an array list. There is a disadvantage. Once I run this program done, finished, remember array list is just, it's created in the memory and then dead, right? When the program stops executing, it's dead. So the tickets are gone. That's not what you want in the real life. In real life, you want to save those. It will be either in a table in a database, which is permanent storage, or it will be in a file. So as I said, this is what I'm covering in this course, so I'm sticking to an array list. That works for me. Hash map is usually a pair, right? So something like name and phone number of a person would be an example where you would keep that data. There's where you would use a hash map or a tree map. So I'll see if I can get something for you, but I'm reiterating this because remember, who knows what you can be asked in the final exam. It could be any of these collections. I've used arrays, I've used an array list, but that doesn't mean I can't ask you hash map, because you should be able to open your Java doc, work through it, and answer. Okay, keep that in mind. That's open. You will be allowed to use the Java docs. Okay, so what do I need? An array list. And what I have here is a variable called, it's private. All data is private. Remember your object-oriented rule number, not rule number one. It's basically principle number one. It says data must be hidden. So my instance variables are always private in nature. Data is hidden. And there are two. People say and people say, no, not required. But I'll stick to what I think, and I think that's usually where we go. So I have a variable called next ticket number. I just called it next, kind of an odd name. But what I want to emphasize here is it will automatically create the next ticket number that will be assigned to a ticket. So when you email anywhere, like I'm just taking an example of IT department because that's where I'm using this. When I email IT department, I don't give them a ticket number. They create a ticket number for me. And that ticket number is created, I'm sure, by some automatic means. I don't know. It could be something like add the name of the person and then, but it's not usually, it's just a number, an identifying number. So this ticketing system will create a unique ticket number for every ticket, every issue that comes in. So that, and then of course the reference is sent back to me so that whenever I have to refer, it will say, I'm talking about ticket number. Right, so let's see how it does it. Something new for you. So in the constructor, the ticket number will automatically be created for you. Okay, so those are the two instance variables, the array list to store my tickets and a variable. This is like an auto increment field in your relational table. Okay, so let's look at the constructor now. The constructor basically is empty. It'll say, what do I do? Don't you want to do anything at all? Of course you want to do something in the constructor. So what do you want to do? One, you want to initialize your array list to be empty. I've just declared it. I haven't created that object. So I need to create that object. And two, I want to start with an initial value of your ticket number, which should be 1, for example, or 100 or whatever you want to start with. So let's do that. So how do you initialize your array list? It's called tickets. So take your tickets variable, go new. It's an array list. And once I've said it's an array list of trouble ticket, you don't have to kind of mention it again. You can just leave it like this and do this. Right, once you declare it here, and it does, remember we've already talked about it, it's kind of giving you some hints. Field tickets can be final, but you don't always have to listen to it. But always look up whenever you have a warning signal. Error, of course, you cannot bypass at all. Whenever you have a warning signal, just go and see what it is trying to say to you. It's saying that this variable can be final. I said, no, I know about it. It can be final. So we'll leave it alone. So here, once you say it here, you don't have to, but I mean, it's not wrong or right either way. But once you've declared that it is an array list of trouble tickets, all you can put in this box is just trouble tickets, nothing else. You can't put anything else, right? So you've said that's what I'll put in it. So you don't have to mention it again in your diamonds. They're called diamonds, right? They're just called diamond operators. But if you want to, that's it. So that's how I've created my tickets object. I can't work without it because otherwise it's null. So how will you work with it? And the second thing I'm doing is I'm taking the next ticket number. So here is a constructor which is not taking any parameters from the outside world, but it still does its job. It initializes your instance variables. It does, right? So you may have no parameters at all, but it has initialized your box to be empty. That's an empty box. So it's a valid empty box. There's nothing inside it. Its size is null, but it exists now. When you declare it, it doesn't even exist. Declaration just says, I will need it. Constructor creates it. So a new box is created. The name of the box is tickets. And the first and the next ticket number, the initial value is 1. As I said, you could have started with anything. This is just, I'll auto increment it. As I use it, the next one I'll increment by 1. Okay, now comes the method create ticket. So how do I create a ticket? So I send an email to the system and I say, this is what I am. This is my email. This is the issue and this is the severity. Can you please create a ticket for me? Right? So ticket is created. So when a ticket is created, definitely you will have to create a new object. Notice how it is throwing an email exception. Why? Because this is going to call the update email method, and the update email method is throwing an exception. I know it. So I have to add throws email exception in the signatures here. If I don't, it will complain. Okay. And why do I have to either throw it or handle it? Because it is a checked exception. All checked exceptions need to be either handled or thrown further. And classes will never handle them. Classes will only throw them. Application will handle them. What do I need to do about it? The handling is done in the application. Okay, so let's see what do we have to do. So we have to do 2 jobs. 1, we have to create a ticket, and 2, we have to add it to our system. So how do you create a ticket? Take your trouble ticket class. Take your trouble ticket class. You can call it ticket if you like, or whatever if you like, and go new trouble ticket. And now what did it want? See, what does it want? It wants a ticket number. It wants a user. It wants an email. It wants an issue and so on. So you'll say, where is the ticket number? I have that variable. It started with 1. That's the number it will go. So go ticket number. So it was called next ticket number. My brackets. Let's start with the next variable. That is what it was called, next ticket number. Okay. The second is the user. The second is the user. User was a string, right? So you could, the user variable is coming to you, pass it further. To you, pass it further. The issue is coming to you, pass it further. Severity is coming to you, pass it further. Job done, ticket created. So that's the first job that the system has to do. So the ticketing system creates a ticket, right? The system. So as soon as you say, create a ticket for me, that's what happens. So when you say create a ticket for me, you pass the information, a ticket is created. That ticket is now added to your tickets array list. So to your tickets array list, add this ticket. Oops, add this ticket. It's called ticket. That's what happens. You email whatever it is. You email your provider and you say, this is my issue. Whatever it is, Rogers, Bell, whatever, Microsoft, whatever. So you give your issue, they create a ticket for you, they add it to their system. And now they'll communicate with you. And do what? Increment the next ticket number for the next ticket. There it is. So notice how this is an auto increment field. And oh, there is an integer that is being returned. So it is also returning. Okay, so I'll have to do something. I can't increment it before. I'll have to think. What would be a best way to do it? An int. So you see what I'm trying to do? I can do it here because the ticket number has already been incremented. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. And let's talk about this increment operator. Maybe you've never paid attention to it before, but there is a difference of putting the plus plus here or putting the plus plus here. There are 2 different things now when you use it in a statement. Let me explain what I'm doing. Why am I returning the ticket number? The customer has to know what the ticket number is, so I'm returning it, right? So you send an email to your provider, the provider creates a ticket, adds it to its system and says, here is your reference number. So therefore I'm returning the ticket number, right? But now let's see what I've done. So I need a return statement. Now, this is basically what I have to return to the person. But I also have to increment it after I return it. After I return it, not before. So the first ticket gets a ticket number of 1. The 1 value is returned, but the system also has to increment it up by 1. Therefore, it will give it to the next one. Now, if I do this and I say, okay, now take this and see what the problem will be. And I say, okay, now increment it. You'll get a syntax error straight away. What is the syntax error? The syntax error will say, how can I do something after the return? You'll say, oh, okay, let me do it before. Okay, if I say, okay, let me do it before, and the problem is the customer has been sent a wrong ticket number. So can I do it in the, or you'll say, oh, you know what? Okay, you've incremented, maybe return him ticket number -1. Yeah, that's okay. Logically, it's okay now. But I can do the two things together. And this is what I'll do. What will I do? I'll say return the number and now increment it. This is doing 2 jobs. Please keep in mind, this is doing 2 jobs. It is returning the ticket number and incrementing it also, but incrementing it after returning the original value. So 2 jobs in one. This is different from this. If I had put the plus here, logically you will think, what is the big deal? It increments the ticket number first and then returns it. That's not what you want to do. You want to use the old ticket number, which was 1 to begin with, and you'll say, I want to increment it 2. I want to do 2 jobs together. That's how you do 2 jobs together. So I could have done by doing a -1. I have stuck to this so that I can show you the use of a plus before a variable name and after a variable. The plus operator can come before the name and after the name. Before says increment it first and then use it. And after says use it first and then increment. That's the difference of the plus minus operator. Maybe you've never thought about it. For you, it's just increment. But there's a difference where you place your pluses. So I'll keep it at this so that you think about it if you see the value. Okay, I could have done the previous way. I could have incremented and returned -1, ticket number -1. I'll stick to this. My ticket has been created. The customer knows that this is the ticket number. He has been given the ticket number back. So now this is my future reference. Done. That's create ticket. Any mistake? Mistake could be email was not valid. It will throw an exception automatically. I'm not throwing it here, but the email method will throw it. Any other problem? Severity, if it is not between 1 and 3, will automatically be set to 1. Job done. Ticket has been created. That's your create ticket method. Now let's go to the next one. It says this method returns the ticket with the specified ticket number. So what? I'm trying to find out. So I send IT an email. I say, this is my reference number. Ticket number is 1026. What's happening? Where am I? What's my status? So definitely they have to bring it out from their system, bring it on their screen, whether it's a database or whatever. They have to retrieve it. And then she'll say, or he'll say, oh, it is not yet resolved. Oh, but we are working on it. Something like that. So the ticket has to be retrieved before they can give you an answer. So this method returns the ticket with the specified ticket number. So it's returning you the ticket's details. So what will I have to do? Search for it. Search, found, pass back. If not found, pass back null. I'm doing null here. I'm not throwing an exception. I'll say null, right? So when I see null coming up, I'll say, oh, there is no ticket by this number. You have a wrong reference. So just showing it a little different from what we did last week. Last week, when I couldn't find something, I was throwing an exception. This week, I'm returning a null value, and a null value will say that it does not exist. Okay, so how do we do the search? What loop should I use? A for each loop. Let's not use a normal for loop because it's too much to write. And again, if I have a better way of doing it, why won't I do it? So let's start. Create a for each loop. What's coming out of your system? A trouble ticket is coming out. Trouble. No. TROU, I'm okay. Yeah, now I'm okay. A trouble ticket is coming out of your system. You can call it whatever you like. It really doesn't matter. As long as it is, of course, a useful name, and take it out from your tickets array list. All I have to do is compare my integers. I have to compare the ticket number of this ticket with the one that I'm asking for. Give me that information. So what do I do? If this ticket that is coming out, its ID, it's get what was it called? Get ticket number. There it is. If its gets ticket number is equal to the ticket number that you've given me, that means I found it. Right? So notice I'm using the 2 equals to operator. I'm comparing to integers. If I was comparing strings, it would be equals ignore case. Here I'm comparing to integers. So I'm saying if you found it, oh, that's fine. If you have found it, return what? Return me the ticket. Job done. If you don't find it, return null at the end of the method. Notice I don't need an else at all. Why? Because as soon as you find it, you return from the method. You go back. Job done. If it is not found, that means this for loop has finished. If you couldn't find the ticket, that means this for loop has finished execution. You couldn't find it. So what do you return? You return a null. Make sense? Can I return a null for a ticket? Yes, because ticket is an object. I can return a null value. Right? So exceptions could be thrown, can be thrown, or a value may be returned. True, false can be returned for a Boolean value. I chose to either return the ticket if it was there, or I returned null to say I couldn't find anything. Okay, so in your application, you will be testing, did null come back? Oh, there is no ticket by this number. And if null didn't come back, here is the ticket with this number. Then you can talk to the ticket. Get me the issue, get me the severity, whatever, get me the date and so on. Then you talk to it. But this method is only returning you a ticket. Make sense? So a little different from what we wrote last week. So keep in mind that programming is not fixed set of statements that Anju has told us and we copy and paste in our assignment. You can do whatever is logically correct for your application, as long as you know it. So I am trying to show you whatever is okay. It depends upon what you will need to use in your application. Okay, it's not as if never can you copy and paste anybody's code and make it work. You should always write your own code wherever. Okay, so that's my trouble ticket. That's my get ticket, sorry. Okay, now what does this do? It says this method will return the highest ticket number that has been issued. So if I want to check, oh, what's the ticket? How many tickets do we have in kind of? Like how many tickets are already issued, just issued? What should I return back now? Which way, what will help me? How can I return back the maximum ticket number that has been issued? Which variable is keeping count of it? Come on, there are only 2 instance variables, one the list and the second the next one. That's the one that is keeping count. Return its value. So what should you return? So the maximum one that you have already kind of used is the next one minus a 1, because remember you increment it. Minus a 1. That's the highest one that you've used. The highest ticket number already issued. The next one is the one that will be issued next. So I do a minus 1 from it and I leave it. I don't want to use the minus operator. That will also decrement the variable. I don't want to decrement the variable. I just want to say how many have been issued. Right? So how many have been issued? The next value minus a 1. Okay. So that's the method. Get me the maximum ticket number. Let's look at this one now. It says returns the information of all the tickets currently open in the system. Who's open? How do I find out the tickets that are open? Which field will help me find out? Closed on, null. If the closed on is null, that means that ticket is still open. Right? So somebody comes, the manager comes to the front desk and says, how many tickets are open still? So the person on the counter goes and clicks this button, get open tickets, and a number comes up. And that number tells you how many open. So these are saying how many tickets are still open.
So you need an if statement to check it.
No, I will use the closed variable, the closed on variable from the ticket. Yeah, I mean, if I have to count them, but I'll use the closed on variable from the ticket to see whether you're open or not. It was null. If it is not null, it is closed, right? So how many are open? It is asking how many are open. So that means I'll have to count them. So I'll need an if statement to check the closed on field and count it, right? Now, is it saying it's returning a string? Oops, okay, it is returning a string. So you have to return the information on it, okay? So let's see what information, again, depends upon what you need to do. So depending upon what I've already written, I won't change it. It says return the information. Okay, so let's start a string. It could have been an array list. It could have, so array list of all the open tickets, which was easy. We've done it in find product by name in your previous example of stock manager. You could have done that. I could be only asking how many, then I need a number. Here I'm asking, give me a description. So take a local variable, start with whatever you call it. I'm taking a local variable called open tickets, and you can start with initialize it. Oops, remember, local variables are not initialized to anything. They have garbage in them. So you have to initialize them if you want to use them. So I have initialized it to an empty string. Now, what do I do? Now let's start again. We need that loop. We need that loop. So I'll kind of put that loop here. Of course, there is something else I have to do in the loop. Okay, so start searching. So start with a string called open tickets, make it empty to start with, and now start looking at your tickets. Browse your array list, browse your, can't call it inventory, browse your system, right? Browse your system of open tickets. Now, how do you check if this ticket is open? What do? You use an if statement. You say if the ticket that I am looking at, its closed variable is still null. That means it is an open ticket. So now that closed on variable is a private variable, but there is a method called the one that we were using, the get closed on date. There it is. Get that date, right? If that is still null. Remember, closed on only gets a value when you close the ticket. Otherwise, its value is null. So if it is if it is null, what must you do? You must take this variable called open tickets and concatenate to it what? Let's call the toString method of the ticket. Everything gets added. It will say this ticket and it will say it. That's its description. You may only be interested in showing the issue. That will also do. You may only be interested in showing the ticket number. That will also do. Whatever you like. But I have a toString method that I can use. But as I said, you can do whatever you like. It doesn't have to be using the toString. You'll say all I want to return is maybe the ticket number and the date it was open. Depends upon what information you want to give back. So if you want to give back the complete information, then you will say concatenate to it ticket.toString. All information. If you want to concatenate whatever information, does it say anything? Doesn't say, it just says the information. So it could be anything. You could be just showing maybe the, I don't know, the ticket, the issue, whatever you like. Really doesn't matter what you want to show. But if this is not closed yet, that means it doesn't have a closed date and it doesn't have a resolution. And that will also print, not resolved, closed on. So you can use that. There's nothing wrong. You can just concatenate what to it? The ticket to it. Does that look strong? Yes, it looks strange. But remember, when I use an object name without anything, what is its default value that you're calling it? That's its default value. That's what its default value is. And again, as I said, if this is too much, you're not, all you're interested in is maybe the name and the user, then we'll create a string.format and do it. You can do it. This one has extra information. The extra information is it still doesn't have a resolution and it is still open because these are open tickets. You'll say, what is the sense of saying closed on, open ticket, resolution, still open? Why are you giving this information? I know these are open tickets. So if you don't like that, so this is one way of doing it. There's nothing wrong in it at all. Absolutely nothing wrong in it. Or you can also do this way. You say, I don't want to pass on everything. Then you will have to kind of do more work. What else? I mean, it's just a little more work. You'll have to concatenate to it a new string. So you'll have to go string.format and then put whatever you like in it. Right? So you could be sending back the username or whatever. So if you want to do it with me, it's up to you. But I mean, you can show the ticket number if you like. This will show the ticket number. So %D for the ticket number, right? Let's show the user. So user was a %S for the user, right? Let's show opened on. You can use \n if you want. Or you can simply say user opened it on. You don't even need a comma. User this opened on, and then again a date. So %S, a date in a format. I don't know how it looks. I forget now, but we'll see. It was opened on this, and then what else? What else can we say? Maybe that's all you want. It depends what you want. Here, let's stop it right here. So it will say ticket. It will show you the number. User opened on. So you're basically saying, or you can give it more English, like you can say user opened this ticket on. But ticket number is your identifying thing, so I put it at the beginning. I said ticket, and then the number. You can even call it ticket number if you like. Nothing stops you. Here, ticket number, and user opened it on, you could say. Here, makes more sense now, more English like. And what do you want? The first one, get ticket number. So ticket dot get ticket number. Oh, forgot my double quotes, and that's why it didn't help me. Control spacebar will give you get ticket number. Where it is? There it is. What's the second parameter? The name of the user. So ticket dot get name. Get name, get username. There it is. So if you don't remember it, just kind of take help. And the third parameter, opened it on. So ticket get created on. There. You can concatenate that if you want. Right. So now you've taken it, you've checked if it is an open ticket. That's checking. That's checking if it is an open ticket. That's important. If I don't do that, all information comes. I'm only interested in what was checked. And then before I exit the method, I say return open tickets. If no tickets are open, what will come back? An empty string. That's okay. You can always check if it is empty. There you, in your application, you can check is empty, right? Length, you can use the length function, you can use whatever, but you can check whatever you like. You can work with it whatever, however you like. Otherwise, there will be something in open tickets. And again, maybe let's start with \n here. So everything in a new line. I'm just thinking when it comes up, who knows how untidy or neat it will look. But I'm assuming I want to show it in one line. So at least I know I need a percentage and at the beginning or the end, whatever. Make sense? So you could use the toString method. There is nothing wrong. toString just has more information. I've only sent back what? The number of the ticket and the user who opened it and the date on which it was opened. I don't think it is necessary to send the email or whatever. You're just getting a list of all open tickets. That information is more than enough. Okay, job done. These are my open tickets. Let's look at the next method. Right, so as I said, you could use toString. There is nothing wrong. It's just more information. This method will close the specified ticket number. So it says, please close. That's what it is saying. But before you close it, you should check if it is a valid number. So I could have written a find method and that would have been more helpful. But anyway, that's okay. What was that method called? The first one that I wrote, get ticket. Okay, there it is. Okay, I'll use that. So before I close it, I'm going to first get it. Do I even have it? So get your ticket. It was called get ticket. There it is. It says get my ticket. And it will pass the ticket number. Now, what was it returning to you? It was returning a null if the ticket was not available. And if it was available, what do you want to return? Then that's when you want to check its resolution. So if the ticket that is coming back to you, oops, trouble ticket, not ticket, trouble ticket. There it is, trouble ticket. If the ticket that is coming back to you is not null, then you are basically going to close it. Otherwise, how can you close a ticket that is null? Doesn't make sense. So if ticket is not equal to null, here comes that handy because I returned a null. Now I can check if it is not null. Right? So if it is not null, what do? I close it. How do I close it? Remember, there is a closed method in the ticket class. So called ticket, close yourself. So I forget what the name was. It was called something like, oh, there it is, close ticket. Resolution, which is what I've called it here also. Close yourself. Done. But this is important. Just don't close it without even checking if it is a valid ticket. If it is a ticket, if it is a valid ticket, so if you start writing, search for the number. This one is saying found. That's why it said not null. And if it is not null, close it. Job done. So just don't say close. Please close only if it exists. If you won't do this, then it will throw a null pointer exception. You don't want any exceptions to be thrown. Right? You don't want any exceptions to be thrown. And notice another thing, please. I have thrown a ticket closed exception here. Try removing it. Try removing it. And the best way to remove it is just comment it out for now. I'll put this on the next line. And it will give, it should, why isn't it giving me a, it should give me a red squiggly saying, Didn't that close ticket throw an exception? I'm positive it threw an exception. Oh, it didn't. I forgot to throw an exception here. This, oh, there wasn't any add throws, therefore I didn't do it. It just says this will update the resolution field and timestamp it. Okay, there was no, so I don't need it here then. What was I thinking then? Let's go back to where we were. Ticketing system. Get ticket. Can get ticket throw an exception? No, even that isn't throwing an exception. Then I don't need a throws clause. But that one is already taken care of here. Oh, you mean, okay, I see what you mean. You want to tell the user that there is no ticket by this number. Okay, let's do that. Yeah, that makes sense. So if you didn't find it, do it. Else, yeah, let's throw it ourselves. Oh, that's a new one. I haven't used it. I want to use it. Okay. Let's else throw it. Yep. Let's tell the user that it cannot be done. Else throw a new exception. And the name of the exception was ticket closed. That's why I wrote it. I'm seeing which method is throwing it. No, I want to throw it. This method wants to throw it. And what did it require? Maybe the ticket number is what it required. I'm hoping. You can always open it and see. So no, doesn't like it. Throw. What did it want? Ticket closed. Ticket closed is requiring an int. That's fine. Okay, so let's come back. So that's not the problem.
You kind of wrote new.
Oh, new twice. Okay. Throw new. I wrote new twice. Thank you, Bradley. There it is. So I'm throwing an exception. I'm saying which method is throwing it. None of those methods are throwing it. I want to throw, this method wants to throw an exception. Remember, the use of exceptions is not saying what error has occurred. There are two uses of throwing an exception. One, of course, you can go on, right? And the second, more important usage, you are giving a message to the user. So the user will see this message on the screen saying, this ticket cannot be closed or whatever I've said. There is no ticket by this number. So like nothing on the screen doesn't mean, oh, there are no tickets. Nothing on the screen could mean your software has crashed. So always give back a message to the user. Or it's always a good idea. Right, okay. What else? What else? What else do we need? Do we have something else? Update. Okay. Anything else left? Closed. Okay, now it says update. So again, before I update, I do what? It should be a valid ticket number. Once I have a valid ticket number, I can update. Okay, remember what is update doing? It is the method that is going to change, not change, update the issue there. The normal conversations through email are all recorded. Okay, so what should I do? Same thing. You'll have to kind of do the same thing. So search for the ticket number. If the ticket was found. Oh, and it throws a ticket update exception. Before I say who's throwing it, this method is going to throw it. Okay, so search for the ticket number, and if it was found, update it. Update it. So how will, or you could do the opposite. You can say if ticket is equal to null, throw it. Depends on how you want to. Do you want to write it the other way? We'll do it the other way in this one. Just to show you it, both are correct. So throw a new exception here also, except that it's called something else. It's called ticket update exception. So you can write your ifs as you want them. You're saying if the ticket is null, I want to throw this exception. And remember, throw is like a abnormal return. So it will return. I don't have to put an else here. Otherwise, what you have to do, update the ticket. So here I don't need an else. So whatever form you prefer. In the first one, it was I needed an else. Here I don't need an else. Okay, so what do you want to do? You want to update it. So if you want to update it, you will have to call the something to do with update. There it is, update ticket. And then pass the update message. And your job is done. There it is. So writing your ifs is entirely dependent upon you. If you want to check the null condition first, then you say throw and you don't need an else there. Else is not incorrect, but it is not required. Because throw means what? Go back. Right? Throw means go back. If you want to do it like I did, not equal to null, then you'll have to write an else. I must emphasize because I saw one student using an old file. For assignment number 3, which is now posted on Blackboard, please use the files that I have given you in the assignment. Right? Because I've added some conditions in it. One, I have, because if you use your own file stock manager, you may not be having the conditions that I have added. So I have updated those files. I've added new conditions because I wanted to test them. And there was a logical error in the code that I did in class last week. On Blackboard it is right. I put the correct code, but I realized it when a student asked me. So it was when the class was done. So I had made that mistake because we hadn't tested it. We didn't know about the mistake till I tested it the next day. And so when I tested it with the other section, the problem came up. So I removed that logical error, and the file on Blackboard is correct, but you may have the wrong file is what I'm emphasizing. So please ensure that for assignment number 3, which is an individual assignment, has to be done independently without anybody's help, please. All the files that you need have to be picked up from the assignment itself, not your own files or not files from weekly learning. Don't do that. They're different. Don't lose marks. And it's a very simple assignment, guys. All you have to do is create a test file. After you create the test file, I've done it for student for you. I did it for student. That is already up on Blackboard.
Using the automatic.
Yes, using the automatic, I've said, using the JUnit framework. Right? Not your own, yeah. Using the JUnit framework, create a testing file. To ensure that you don't lose marks, what you can do is you can test it with JCO coverage. If you see green, all methods tested, all branches tested, everything is green, that means you've tested all methods, which you can ensure for yourself that I'm going to get 100%. So I've given a few things. Please put Java doc comments. That could be, I'll give you marks for it. Then I've said, use JCO coverage. I've given you a hint. You don't have to, but it's for your benefit. And then I've said every method that you're testing must print out something like the method you are testing, like I did in class. System out println and testing the get student method, testing this method, testing this method. So if you do that and you have greens everywhere in your JCO coverage, you can almost assume that it's 100% marks. And it's an easy assignment, guys. It's an easy assignment. All you have to do is 4 hours, maximum, I'm saying, maximum 4 hours. You can build upon it. Right? So it is due on Sunday at 11:09 midnight. No extensions at all. I'm not giving any extensions.
So 2 quick questions. One, yes. We can try to test it without JCO coverage?
You can, but then it's your risk. Maybe you forgot to test something and it will not tell you you forgot to do this.
Right. And basically we're supposed to create something for the test packages of our assignments.
Exactly. That file, when you use the JUnit framework, it automatically creates a file in the test packages. You don't have to place it there, but there is where it goes by default. Right. So I need only one file from you, your test file .java. That's it, please, guys. Please don't zip it. I don't need one file to be zipped. Please don't send me your project folder. It's too much unnecessary work for me. I say it every time and then I still mark it. But you know what? I won't mark it this time. I won't if you don't submit it properly. I only need one file from you. Just the file you create, send it to me. one.java. Please, okay?
So basically just the page in the test package.
Page?
You know,
the file, yeah. It will be called something like stock manager test. If you use NetBeans, it will be called stock manager test.
So something test.java?
Exactly. Okay, good.
I'm just asking because I'm not assuming that it's the same as our several, but I'm just comparing so that I understand.
Sure. Right? Okay, so that's your ticketing system done. Right? That's your ticketing system done. So the ticketing system was not very tough because what do you do with the ticket? You create a ticket, you update a ticket, you close a ticket, you add, that's update, you add something. That's it. That's all we need. And those are my 4 methods. 1, create a ticket. That was my first method. So you have to think, what do we do with the ticketing system? You create a ticket. That was my first method. There was nothing before. I mean, of course, the constructor is something else. Not something else. It's just a special method. You create a ticket. Then get ticket was just saying, do you have a ticket? I could even have made it private instead of public. Because if it is not required outside, it is only being used inside the class, I can even make it private. So from outside, it's not available. But I mean, because this return null is kind of saying, that's too much. So you may not even need it. You can make it private if you like. It was just saying it will be used inside the class, right? Then how many tickets? Maximum. That's okay. That's normal information. Get which tickets are open. Which uses your get ticket, which is fine. Close my ticket. Update my ticket. Job done. But that's all I need. So just because this return ticket is kind of returning a null, and null is not always a good, like application, you can make it private because this is being used by other methods in your class. By making it private, what do? It is not available outside. That's all. And it's not. Anytime you want to look at open tickets, you have the open tickets method. But it does allow you to look at a ticket. I mean, except that it just returns you the whole ticket. Here is your ticket. So you have to do a toString in your application to print it out. That's okay. It depends on your application. Want to make it private or not. Classes are ready. Now I need to write a tester. Right? So again, what I've done is I've given a tester to you. I haven't tested everything, but yeah, I have tested a few things. So now please open up your tester. So what do we do in a tester? Don't forget what do we do in a tester. In a tester, we try to test each and every method of the class. So it's another alternative to your JUnit frame test. But keep in mind there are two different purposes being served here. The JUnit framework is basically not, it's just creating classes and testing them. It may not be necessary to create applications out of it. Like string class, somebody wrote the string class, the person tested it and then put it in the library. Then you use it to write applications. You know what I mean? He didn't write an application for it because this is more like an application. Main means you're writing an application. So one way is you test the class, you're satisfied it works, you put it in the market. It's ready to be sold, right? This type of testing that I'm showing you right here is like kind of writing an application. So I'm saying, okay, I'll create a ticket system, I'll create a tickets, then I'll create some ticketing system, and then I'll say which tickets are open, which tickets are closed, and stuff like that. So they are both testing. One is more just testing the class, and the other is writing an application to test. So they have different purposes, right? So what you're doing in your assignment, you are basically saying, okay, Anju has written the stock manager class. Is it fine? Does it work? Is it logically okay? What she has said, does it work? And then whoever wants to use it can use it. So nothing is put out into the market without testing. Keep in mind, I've already said software maintenance takes 60% of the cost of a software life cycle. So we are trying to reduce the maintenance cost by putting out a product that is robust, right? So you put more time into testing and more money into testing, then you have to put less time and less money into maintenance. So that's the testing framework. It's an automated one, not that automated, but still quite automated. Here you have to put in more. It's like creating a whole application. So the IT department comes to me and says, you know what, can you create a ticketing system for us? Can you create an application for us in which we can do this, 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 this? So I say, okay, I have written these two classes, ticket and ticketing system. I'm now going to create an application for you. So this is what I'm doing here, okay? So just silly, okay? But what I've done is here. Again, because my classes are because my methods in my classes are throwing exceptions, an application will always handle them. You don't want to throw it on the face of the user with all those stacks, wrong, 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 wrong. We don't want to do that. So when an application is created, the user must see good, pretty error messages. And how do you do it? In your application, you handle all the exceptions. So what I've done, I've put all my code inside try blocks, and notice what I've caught. I've caught the email exception. So anytime there is a problem with the email, it will come up saying this email is invalid. Anytime a ticket cannot be closed because it doesn't exist, it will say it doesn't exist. Anytime it is cannot be updated, it will say it cannot be updated. Why? Ticket does not exist. And I've also said, God knows what may happen. We always say, maybe I haven't thought of something. So I write a generic catch exception at the end of my catches. So that if in case I have not looked into a situation that can arise, at least it will be caught. Maybe the message will not be very nice, but it will be something to tell me. So for me, it is an application also, and it is a tester also. Both, for me, it will work both ways. Now what do I do? So please keep in mind, your application must handle all your exceptions, not throw them. Not throw them, okay? Because throwing means, oh, I don't care. How can you write an application that says, I don't care, and give it to the market? You can't do that. All applications that you use, even NetBeans that you're using, you want it to behave exactly like it should behave. It's not that you're writing something and the system crashes on you. It's not something that you're saving and it says, oops, cannot save and closes down. It doesn't, I mean, it does do things like this sometimes, but it doesn't do it. You know what I mean? So your aim is the same. Your job is to write an application that is robust and working perfectly. And you handle all exceptions. So these are the exceptions that I had. I kind of put a catch for everything. And I also added a new catch, which was the generic catch. Always, programmers will always do it. Now see what I've done. So what do? I create a few tickets. And of course, then I put tickets into it. So I create a ticketing system. Simple. Of the trouble ticketing system, please create a ticketing system called ticket sys. I was really being lazy, I think. I should have called it ticketing system. Now I add a few tickets in it. I create a ticket for Anju Chawla at this address and so on. Computer will not power on is my issue. I give it a severity of 2. Then comes Fred Flintstone. It's all crap now. No, it's not crap. It's just funny now, right? This guy comes up and says the parrot will not type. These are just some stories from here, okay? And then comes Barney. He no longer comes, right? Barney comes and says the keyboard is missing. So these are just issues. And then comes Bam Bam Rubble and he says blue screen of death. So I've just created some tickets. Now, for whatever reason, if instead of a valid email, let's try to do 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know how that regular expression will work. I'm hoping it will work correctly. I don't think there was a question mark in there. So let's put something like, oops, like 1, 2 question mark for my email. I must have a problem. It should give me email is not valid, right? So let's try it. This is my first ticket itself. As soon as I run it, what is it saying? Nothing. Okay, there. Oh no. So that means the regular expression is not very clean, neat and clean. No, it's not. Okay, so what should I give that cannot be in an email?
Question mark is not a valid email address.
Oh, yeah.
Which one is the, do we have question marks on our email addresses? I don't know. Look at our regular expression. What did we say our regular expression was? I thought I took a very good one from the internet. Doesn't seem like. What is email saying you can have? Update email. I thought question mark was not valid. Yeah, I don't see a question mark. It says it can start with a letter or digit. Oh, you know what? Okay. Yeah, it cannot start. It has to either start with a number or whatever, but cannot start with a question mark. Okay, so let's try that. So question mark 1, 2 should throw it, I think. Okay, let's try that. No, it's still running. Regular expression is not working properly. I'll have to look into it. Either I'm not reading it properly or it's not working properly. Something is wrong. Okay, let's try this. Of course, this should say something about it.
Question mark 1, 2 is not a valid email address.
It is coming? Are you seeing that error when you run it? Why am I not seeing it? Or are you just saying it out of the blue?
Basically, I chose to run the main project, which was trouble ticketing system. So when I clicked on it, it ran, and so far it says.
Okay, so it is.
Question mark 1, 2.
Oh, so somewhere it is saying it is not valid? I don't see it. How can that be possible? If you have my code, how can that be possible? That's what I'm trying to do. It is not valid.
Okay, basically, I set the main project to be trouble ticketing system. So then
That's
I
okay, wait,
what I
wait,
did,
yeah.
and then when I went to run the main project.
Yeah, like what am I missing, guys? I'm missing something. That means how come Bradley has stuff running not so when he tried this, which should happen, right? When he tried, this is invalid. Of course it is invalid. And trouble ticketing system. Hopefully I'm running the right one. Am I in the right one? Let's save this. Let's go to trouble ticketing system is no, that's one. Trouble tester. There it is. Right click and run. I'm just kind of taking care that I'm running the right file. What? Okay, so have I removed something that I shouldn't be removing? Okay, there it is. Throws an email exception. Throw an email exception. There is the email exception. Okay, now what's the other one? System. Something is not working properly, but I mean, it has to. Where is the tester? Create a ticket. There it is, email exception. Why isn't it coming up? Bradley couldn't have added his own code. Why is it working is the big question. It shouldn't work. This will work. This shouldn't work. Because what is it? What are the 4 parameters? Name of the person, then the email, then what is the issue, and then the number, right? So this must throw an exception. Why is it not throwing an exception? That is strange. It should, right? Okay, let's try run and then clean the project. Okay, and then try to run it again. Oh, there it is. I've just cleaned my project again. It could be something running from the old compiled version when it was fine. So when it was okay, it was compiled, it was not recompiling it. So there's always it's always good that when you think the answer should be something else and it's not coming up, just clean your project again. So I did a clean and build again. Okay. I don't know why that's really strange, but I thought I did a clean and build before. So there is the problem.
Yeah, sorry about the issue.
That's perfectly fine. Okay, so it is working. Question 12 is not a valid email. Okay, so makes sense. So try giving whatever. So the regular expression is okay. That's what I thought. I mean, though I hadn't written it, I had checked it a lot. Okay, so now you can put it back. Put a valid email address. As long as it has an @ in it, as long as it has, I don't know if after the @ it is needed. I can't remember, but you can check. Okay, you can kind of test it. So this was, oh God, more time than anything else. Here, there, right? So I've created 4 tickets in which the email is invalid. I've taken care of. Try to give a severity which it doesn't exist. Like instead of 2, give a 5. It will automatically go to 1. Remember, if it is not valid, it will go to 1. So if you try that, instead of a 3, if you give a 5 here and you run it, then this person, Barney, should have still not. Oh, okay, it is not behaving itself. I'll have to clean it every time now. I don't know why. Clean and build the project again. Silly. It's not taking my changes. Okay, I'll try it again now. Okay, so now look for Barney, and Barney should have gone to 5 instead of the keyboard is missing. Oh, we didn't show the severity, did we? Oops. No, we didn't show the severity, but it should have changed it to 5. Oh, there it is. Ticket number user 14 Barney. We didn't show the severity in the toString, so it's not coming up. But you can double check. It will work. I'm almost positive, whatever it was. Okay. So you know what? We can very quickly check it here. Do you want to check what was his Barney's one? What was Barney called? With the ticket, more work. 45. Time is short. Anyway, so you can always go and check and say get ticket, and it will tell you what its number is. 5 will not work. 5 will go to 1. It won't throw an exception. It will just go to 1. We said if the severity doesn't lie between 1 and 5, it has to be 1. So I've created a few tickets. Then I've updated it. So I've sent a resolution. I've just said update the ticket. Try looking behind the desk for something keyboard is missing, was it? Right? And then I did give some methods. I did make some calls that were not working. For example, how can you close a ticket 5 when it doesn't exist? But then I uncommented them so that it runs perfectly. So try uncommenting it now. So uncomment it. Can you close a ticket with number 5? Nope, there is no ticket with 5. So when you run it now, okay, I'll have to do a run clean every time. I don't know for what reason, but it's not working properly. So Control S and then try to run it again. It should get a closed option. There. 5 does not exist. Closure cancelled. Right? So all the errors that you've given, I tested them and then I put them back in code, so in comments, so that then I can test it. So I've closed the ticket 2. 2 has been closed. And then I said, what are the open tickets? So if 2 is closed, what is open? 1 and 2 are open. So I've closed 2. So 1 should be open and 3 should be open and 4 should be open. So it should show me that 1, 3 and 4 are open because I closed the ticket number 2. So you can kind of test it, and I've of course tested it. And here are the details of tickets number 1, 2, and 3. Press here. Right? 1, 2, and 3 are here. Ticket number 3. Oh, so you can change it. You can. Barney, change Barney to 5. I've shown it. Which one did I have deleted 2. Okay, try changing Barney to 5, please. Change the severity to 5. If you do that and you run it, at the end it should say it's only 3. Oh, 5 does not exist. Okay, create ticket 5 does not this one. I haven't commented it out. So play with it a little. That's all I'm saying. I mean, all I expect from you is kind of working with it. My problem here, I have no reason why it's not taking my changes. So every time I have to do changes, I have to clean it and then run it. So it is working. Okay. So clean that I have to run it again. So I've checked a few things. You can close a ticket that is not open. I've given you a list of open tickets. I've shown you what it has. So that's an application. So of course, that's a very poor application, but that's how I'll create an application when I create an application for a client. So your job is test it. And again, if something is not working, you've tested, then comment it. Comment it like this so that at least we have it. So every time I have to do this, I'll have to go here, and you may not need to do it. Clean it and then run it. There it is, right? So it is saying ticket 3 has the following information. The ticket number is 3. It was opened. This is how opened is coming. I was telling you it is date and time. Please notice. We could maybe put a little gap in between, but I just kind of gave it. So 13. It's coming in 24-hour clock. It's 13, so it's 1 o'clock, right? So it's 1:48. That's the time on my system date now. It's not bad. 2017-07, and then it says 13:48:02. It gives you minutes, hours, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. I'm sure you can. I'm almost positive you can make it neater, because there is a class that makes it neat. You can format it. It's not coming to my head. Number format, I forget, but you can format it and make it neater. Okay, so it is working. So I've written a small application here that is testing my ticket and ticketing system. But it's not basically not only testing, it's also creating an application. Okay, so I'll put all this on Blackboard for you, and then you can pick it up if you like. So this will now go into weekly learning. Please keep in mind, weekly learning is what we do in class, and then if I give you an assignment and I'm providing you files for the assignment, please use those files. Don't try to use what we did in class, or because I may have added to it. So it always, whatever we do in class goes back to your weekly learning. Okay, any question, guys, before we have 1 minute? Any questions that I can answer for you?